K was born at the absolute bottom, a colorless trash with zero innate potential, in a world obsessed with vibrant power. They treated him like a mistake, a smudge on a masterpiece that needed to be erased. But at the brink of death, he unlocked his true color. Black. It's not like everyone else. It eats other colors. Now, with this newfound power, will he finally reach his dream of becoming a hero, or will his power consume him too? Deep underground, the only sound is the rhythmic thud of a pickaxe. The miner, a young boy with white hair named K, stops. His eyes fixate on the wall as glowing blue droplets begin to seep from the freshly broken stone. He's ecstatic. To him, this little bottle is a ticket out of the dirt and into the shining city. Poor kid. He actually thinks the pioneering core cares about hard work. K turns to his companion, a small, cat-like shadow creature perched on his shoulder. "Nero, thank you," he says, his smile full of gratitude. "Thanks to you, I found it." With Nero still on his shoulder, K looks toward the light at the cave's exit, clutching his precious bottle. He muses hopefully, "If I take this back, maybe this time the pioneering core will finally accept me." The view from outside the cave is stark. K stands in a bleak, colorless wasteland, gazing at a distant metropolis that glows with a brilliant, multicolored aura, the shining city. The scene shifts to inside the city, where a massive crowd cheers with wild enthusiasm as confetti rains down from the sky. It's a parade for the colorists, the heroes of the city. See, the shining city is a paradise for the heroes who glow like walking neon signs. But not all parts of this world are so bright. For people like K, the world is literally gray. He shows up to the recruitment office. A sign posted outside announces the C-rank Pioneering Corps entrance exam, but contains a critical condition. Anyone with color can apply. Suddenly, K is thrown violently to the ground. A voice shouts with disdain, "Get lost." Looking up from the dirt, K sees two men looking down on him with contempt. One of them, a man with reddish-brown hair, will call him Red for now. "How many times do I have to say it? This isn't a place for people like you." That sounds pretty motivated to me. K screams, asking what the problem is. He's got the ink. He's got the skill. Holding up the bottle he worked so hard to get. Red's face contorts in annoyance as he points a finger at K. "Ugh, do I really have to spell it out for you?" he shouts, his patience gone. The world seems to fall silent as Red delivers the final, crushing verdict. "You're a colorless." The word hangs in the air, and K freezes, his eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Red continues his lecture, explaining the harsh reality of their world. People are born with their roles already decided. Panels show the colorless relegated to manual labor, like mining. But sometimes, he sneers, idiots like you, who don't know their place, pop out of nowhere. Listen well, you damn colorless. As Red speaks, his hand begins to glow with a menacing red aura. He prepares to demonstrate the very power that separates him from K. Red unleashes a wave of red energy just to flex. It's not an attack. It's a reminder that K is a bug, and Red is the windshield. Kneeling on the ground, still holding the bottle of ink, K looks up at the pioneers, who loom over him. Red continues his lecture. "Pioneers, you see, only those chosen, like us, can be one." Red declares, his hand glowing with red energy, while his companions radiate their own colors, creating a spectacle of power that K can only watch. Red explains the grim reality of their profession. The weak can't survive in the Black Lands. He gestures to the world outside the city, where a permanent, shadowy storm churns. Everything is swallowed in black. You can't even see a step ahead. And in that oppressive darkness, he says, there are all sorts of dangerous, monstrous beings known only as creatures that hunt anything that moves. We risk our lives to explore the unknown and find resources and treasures. We stake our lives for humanity's future, Red proclaims, his speech accompanied by images of pioneers fighting, exploring, and being hailed as they stand over a defeated monster. You could say we're true heroes. Looking down from the top of the stairs, Red delivers his final judgment. So for someone colorless like you, that's absolutely impossible. If you're colorless, then act like it and stick to colorless work. With a final, cold threat, Red warns, "If you annoy me again, you'll really die next time." He and his group turn and leave, the heavy doors closing behind them, leaving K alone in silence. K remains silent, his shoulders slumped in defeat. From inside his jacket, Nero peeks out, making a soft, worried sound. He forces a pained smile, trying to reassure his small friend. "It's okay, Nero. There are still many places we can go," he adds with a sigh. "I've gotten used to this anyway." But beneath the resignation, a fire still burns. Kay's expression hardens with resolve as he declares, "I'll definitely become the greatest colorist ever. I promised." He gently tucks Nero back into the safety of his jacket. "All right, back inside," he whispers. "What if someone sees you?" With his determination renewed, Kay turns to leave, ready to find another path. "Okay then, shall we try somewhere else?" As Kay walks away, hoping there's a place that will take him, he's unaware that he's being watched. From the shadows, a sinister-looking man with green hair peers through a grate, his eyes fixed on Kay. Kay retreats to Mari's workshop, his only friend in this bleak district. Pushing open the door, Kay calls out to the person inside. "Mari, I'm back." A cheerful girl with white hair and goggles, Mari, spins around with a bright smile. "Kay, welcome back," she exclaims, her voice full of warmth. Her smile fades slightly as she sees his expression. "What's with that face? Failed again?" she asks. Kay glumly confirms her suspicion. As he does, Nero happily leaps from his shoulder onto Mari's desk. Mari scoops up Nero, frustrated on Kay's behalf. "People just don't know talent when they see it. You're probably stronger than most pioneers." But Kay just sighs. "What can I do if no one accepts colorless folks?" "Still, you managed to bring back things from the Blacklands just fine," Mari argues, her words conjuring an image of Kay, skillfully navigating the treacherous, monster-filled lands. "Your skills are more than proven." Kay deflects the compliment, giving credit where it's due. "Well, it's only possible because Nero helps me." Mari cuddles the small creature, who seems to enjoy the attention. Changing the subject to business, Kay presents the bottle he retrieved from the cave. "Anyway, can you buy this off me?" Mari's eyes immediately light up with excitement. "Wow, thanks. I'll pay you well for it." As she pours the precious ink into her equipment, Mari lets out a huge sigh of relief. "Whew! Seriously, I was running short on ink lately. It's been rough." She explains that with prices skyrocketing from the shortage, the public is demanding they increase the number of pioneers. Mari gestures to her equipment, where vials of blue and orange ink are being processed. "Our whole livelihood depends on ink, after all," she states, highlighting its importance. Kay leans on the table, dejected. "I'm willing to work hard at anything, but no core will take me in." Mari then asks, "Kay, did you think about what I told you before?" Kay looks away, hesitant. I don't know. That place seems a bit..." But Mari quickly cuts him off, leaning forward impatiently. "What are you talking about?" She slams a flyer down on the table with emphasis. "You have to try everything," she insists. It's a recruitment flyer for the prestigious S-rank Dawn Pioneering Corps. Most importantly, it reads, "Entrance test open to all applicants, skill-based selection." For Kay, this is a beacon of hope. "You never know the results. This could be your chance," Mari exclaims. Mari smiles, encouraging him. "Kay, it's a great opportunity. Give it a shot. They said it's based on skill. You might finally get acknowledged." She looks him in the eye, reminding him of his deepest desire. "You want to be a colorist, right? You've been saying that since we were kids." The scene flashes back to the past, showing a small, lonely Kay in tattered clothes, standing in the rain while clutching a tiny Nero to his chest. Returning to the present, Kay is struck by the memory and Mari's unwavering faith. Her past words echo in his mind. "We'll always support you, no matter what you do." A small, determined smile forms on his face. "Yeah, I can't afford to hesitate anymore." He decisively picks up the flyer for the Dawn Pioneering Corps. With Nero back on his shoulder and the flyer in hand, a re-energized Kay waves goodbye. "Thanks, Mari. I'll come by again." Mari sees him off with a cheerful, "Okay, take care." He rereads the flyer, muttering to himself, Not much time left. I'd better prepare a lot." Suddenly, a low growl comes from inside his jacket. Kay stops, startled by the sound. "Huh? Nero?" he asks, looking down as his companion trembles with agitation. Nero's warning comes too late. Kay senses danger and turns just as the green-haired pioneer from before steps out of the shadows, holding a wand that glows with a faint green light. The pioneer's face is twisted in a malicious grin, his eyes hidden in shadow. Without a word, he swings the wand, unleashing a deadly, crescent-shaped blade of green energy that slices through the air directly towards K. Though he reacts, he isn't fast enough. The energy blade slams into his side, and he cries out in agony as the force throws him to the ground. The pioneer looks down at the wounded K with utter indifference. Nobody cares if one colorless dies. Beside K, Nero lets out a series of desperate, high-pitched cries. Hearing his friend's terrified cries, K forces his head up, his focus shifting entirely to Nero's safety. His eyes narrow, and with what little strength he has left, he gives a desperate command to his only family. Run. The reason for the ambush becomes chillingly clear. The alley they are in has a sign pointing to a dark opening between the pipes, a disposal site for hazardous ink waste. Suddenly, K finds himself lifted by the collar and held over the pit of ink waste, a corrosive sludge that dissolves bone in seconds. These guys are real pieces of work. His eyes gleam with greed as he reveals his true target, a creature with the intelligence to follow a human. Nero! K screams, his heart sinking as he sees his small friend trapped and crying. A surge of protective rage gives K a burst of strength. He grabs the pioneer's collar, roaring, "Let go of him, you bastard." The pioneer just scoffs. Ooh, scary. A colorless yelling isn't scary. It's pathetic. The pioneer's eyes glint as he spells out his greedy motive. That creature could fetch a huge sum on the black market. He tightens his grip on K's jacket, sneering. It's too good for a colorless like you to have anyway. K can only groan as the man's knuckles dig into him. But to lose Nero, my only family, over something like this? The thought is unbearable. A surge of pure fury erupts within him. He grabs his captor's arm with newfound strength and screams, "Don't mess with me!" As K's hand clamps down, something strange happens. A dark, shadowy substance begins to spread from his fingers across the pioneer's arm. The pioneer's smug expression instantly turns to one of shock and confusion. What? It feels like something's being sucked out, he cries out in alarm. As he speaks, the green energy of his color is visibly drawn from his body and absorbed by K, whose form is now obscured by a black aura, only his glowing white eyes visible. Shit, what a disgusting feeling, the pioneer screams, violently dropping K to his inky demise. While the two pioneers celebrate their anticipated riches, Nero cries out in terror, plunging towards the corrosive liquid below. As he plummets into the black void, a single thought consumes K. I have to save Nero, but the shock and his injuries are too much. My body won't move. His consciousness begins to fade. His life flashes before his eyes. His vow to become a great colorist, Mari's encouraging smile. He thinks with despair, am I really going to end like this? His consciousness fades, but a single, defiant thought remains, echoing in the void. I still have that promise. Then, a voice, ancient and powerful, cuts through the darkness, calling his name. K. The voice questions his despair. Why are you just standing there? Why are you not doing anything? K can only weakly ask, who are you? The voice responds with a single, thunderous command. Accepted. A torrent of commands floods his mind, urging him to fight back. Do what you can. Save Nero. Take it all in. I've waited for so long. Accepted. Your true color. As K's eyes snap open, now hollow voids burning with white light, the voice gives its final order. Right now, your color. Take it back. In the physical world, the surface of the ink waste churns violently. A whirlpool of blackness forms, and from its center, a hand emerges. K finds himself in a white, empty void. He looks at his hands, now formed of black shadow. What is this? He wonders. What's happening? I was inside the ink. He tries to remember, but his memory is a blur. A more pressing question surfaces, echoing in the emptiness. No, more importantly, who am I? A faint, desperate cry pierces the silence of his mind. It's Nero. The sound grounds him, a familiar anchor in the confusing void. Suddenly, a vision appears before him. The two pioneers, his tormentors, standing on the ledge above. The vision sharpens, focusing on Nero, crying in his cage. The memory, the name, returns to him with absolute clarity. Nero. You're here. The confusion vanishes, replaced by a singular, burning purpose. That's right. I have to save Nero. His new shadowy hand reaches out, ready to act. Back in the alley, the two pioneers stare in disbelief as a massive pillar of black smoke and energy erupts from the pit where the ink waste used to be. The pioneer stares at the bottom of the now empty basin. The entire pit of deadly ink waste vanished in the blink of an eye, and in its place, something unknown emerged. A humanoid silhouette composed of pure blackness and swirling smoke begins to rise. He stammers in pure terror as the shadowy figure raises a monstrous, claw-like hand towards them. A creature?
There is a scene of utter devastation. Buildings have crumbled into mountains of rubble under a dark, ominous sky, indicating a recent and powerful attack. An elderly witness, his face pale and contorted with fear, shouts to the authorities. He claims he saw the event unfold with his own two eyes, his voice trembling with shock. The old man continues, exclaiming that the small hand managed to turn the entire area into a complete wreck, as a flashback panel shows a dark, shadowy claw erupting from the ground. Meanwhile, the green guy who tried to kill Kay is carried away on a stretcher. His body is completely drained of color, appearing as a gray, lifeless statue. Two special investigators, a man with striking red hair and a woman with blue hair, observe the scene. They note that the only two affected were a pair of B-rank pioneers who didn't have the best reputation. The blue-haired woman, a colorist, expresses her confusion. She can't comprehend what could have possibly caused the victims to lose all their color. Her red-haired partner tells her to set that mystery aside for the moment. The red-haired man, known as Red, clarifies their mission. They were dispatched to this location specifically because of the large creature that suddenly appeared in the city. The on-site supervisor is stunned into silence. He recognizes the investigators, letting out a choked gasp as he identifies them as the elite colorists. The supervisor quickly composes himself and greets them with utmost respect, honored by their presence. Red dismisses the formalities, stating he was simply asked to investigate the creature. Red then asks the flustered supervisor for a tour of the site. The supervisor, eager to please the high-ranking colorist, immediately agrees and gestures for them to follow. The two colorists walk through the vast field of debris, their distinct red and blue colors standing out against the monochrome destruction as they begin their investigation. Red examines a black, ink-like substance on his fingers. He confirms that there are indeed traces of the creature left at the scene, which might provide them with a lead. His partner elaborates on the situation. They have been tracking all large creatures, and for one to appear suddenly inside the city, even on the outskirts, is highly unusual and alarming. She explains that the creatures typically seen within city limits are small, harmless species, like the shadowy rats and birds depicted in the panels. Looking down into a massive crater, they ponder the terrifying possibility that this might be a new, unknown variant of creature. However, Red advises against jumping to conclusions just yet. Red's expression turns serious. The more pressing issue is figuring out how to track this elusive and clearly dangerous new entity. Standing amidst the apocalyptic ruins, the two investigators are dwarfed by the sheer scale of the destruction. Red grimly admits that this situation is indeed troublesome. The scene shifts to a dark, unknown space. A pained groan is heard, and the protagonist, Kay, is seen huddled on the ground, clearly in distress, as strange squeaking sounds echo around him. A small, cat-like black creature with large, white eyes appears out of the darkness and begins licking his face. Kay groggily opens his eyes and whispers the creature's name, Nero. Kay jolts upright, grabbing his companion in a tight embrace. He's overwhelmed with relief to see that Nero, his cherished friend, is safe and sound. After his relief subsides, Kay's expression darkens. He wonders what happened, his thoughts immediately turning to anger as he blames those bastards for his current predicament. A torrent of fragmented memories flashes through his mind, being confronted, falling into a void, being surrounded by a dark, inky substance, and ultimately being consumed by it. As the fragmented memories connect, his eye snaps open, wide with a dawning, terrifying realization. His horrified gaze falls to his own hands. The witness's words about a small hand echo in his mind, and a dreadful possibility begins to take root. His mind goes blank, a chilling sensation washing over him as he tries to grapple with the horrific possibility. He touches his head, confused and disoriented. His eyes are wide with disbelief. How could it be possible? How could he, a powerless, colorless, be responsible for such immense destruction? Breaking from his spiraling thoughts, he suddenly becomes aware of his surroundings. He's trapped in an oppressive, pitch-black darkness where he can't see a thing. Panic begins to set in. He stumbles in the void, desperately calling out for his only companion, Nero, to help him. In response to his call, Nero transforms into a swirling vortex of energy, preparing to illuminate the darkness. As Nero's light floods the area, a terrifying sight is revealed. Kay is standing alone in a dark forest, surrounded by countless pairs of glowing eyes belonging to monstrous shadow creatures lurking in the gloom. Kay's face contorts in pure terror as he finally comprehends the danger he is in. He is trapped and surrounded by hostile beings. A horrifying realization dawns on him as he recognizes the desolate landscape. He's been transported to the dreaded Black Lands. As if on cue, the shadow creatures begin to stir, their glowing eyes locking onto him. The horde of monsters starts swarming towards him and Nero. With no time to waste, Kay shouts to Nero, and the two of them make a desperate dash to escape the encroaching swarm, running deeper into the menacing forest. As they flee, Nero suddenly lets out a sharp cry, sensing a new danger approaching from ahead. A vicious, worm-like creature with a massive, tooth-filled maw lunges at them from the shadows, forcing Kay to react instantly to avoid the deadly attack. Having narrowly dodged the attack, Kay thanks his companion. Nero responds with a determined cry, ready for the next threat. Nero cries out urgently, urging Kay to climb faster as a massive, monstrous head appears from below, intent on devouring them. Nero shoots forward like a comet of light, leading Kay through the treacherous terrain and away from the pursuing monsters. As he runs for his life, Kay notices something strange. A new sensation is spreading through his body, something he has never felt before. He realizes with a shock that his body feels amazing. A core of dark energy swirls within his chest, the source of this newfound vitality. Despite the desperate escape and constant running, he isn't tired at all. His stamina feels limitless. Not only that, but he can move faster and with more agility than he ever thought possible, leaping effortlessly through the dangerous environment. He feels a powerful energy overflowing from within, suffusing his entire body with strength he's never known. Nero continues to fly ahead at high speed, guiding Kay through the perilous Black Lands. Just as Kay marvels at his newfound energy, his escape is abruptly cut short. A huge, wolf-like shadow beast erupts from the darkness directly in his path, letting out a ferocious cry. The sudden ambush catches him completely off balance. His brief moment of empowerment vanishes as he loses his stance mid-air, leaving him utterly defenseless as the monster closes in for the kill. As the creature lunges, time seems to slow down. Kay closes his eyes, his mind filled with a single, resigned thought, "Damn it. I'm going to die." The wolf-like creature clamps its massive jaws around Kay's shoulder. However, instead of tearing through him, its teeth shatter on impact. The monster looks down in confusion, its attack having failed completely. Kay looks just as shocked, staring at the creature in disbelief. The beast recoils with a whimper, while Kay stands perfectly still, untouched by the attack. He looks down at his shoulder, then at his hands, completely bewildered. He's fine, without a single scratch on him. He was certain that he had just taken a fatal hit. Yet, he is completely unharmed. The newfound energy he felt earlier seems to have protected him. His eyes widen as a profound realization hits him. The incredible speed, the limitless stamina, the invulnerability, this is the power of color. Nero flies up to him, letting out an affirmative cry, as if confirming Kay's astonishing discovery. But their moment of revelation is cut short. In the distance, an even greater threat emerges from the shadows, a colossal, horned figure. The behemoth rises to its full, terrifying height, its single glowing eye fixed on them. It's a cyclops, a monster that dwarfs everything else in the forest. Kay's face turns pale with absolute terror as he screams the name of the legendary monster. He can't believe it. A predator of this level, a true boss of the Black Forest, shouldn't be in this area. The cyclops lets out a deafening roar. The cyclops raises its massive fist and smashes it into the ground, the impact shattering the earth and sending shockwaves in every direction. Kay is thrown to the ground by the force of the attack, completely winded. Nero circles above him, crying out in concern. But as he lies on the ground, a strange feeling washes over him. Defiance. A manic grin spreads across his face as a wild thought enters his mind: I feel like I can win. Images of his past flash before his eyes, a lifetime of being scorned and rejected for being colorless. But now, he has finally obtained the very power he has always longed for. He smirks, convinced that from now on, things will be different. He clenches his fist, a dark, shadowy aura beginning to swirl around it. He doesn't need to run anymore. It's time to fight back. He begins to remember. The feeling of his power awakening, his hand reaching out, and the dark energy washing over the two pioneers who had thrown him into the abyss. He focuses his mind, calling upon that sensation, that incredible feeling of power he experienced back then. The dark energy erupts around him, shrouding him in shadow. His form becomes a black silhouette, and his eyes begin to glow with a blinding white light. The Cyclops, sensing the shift in power, lets out a furious roar and charges forward to crush the defiant human. Kay stands his ground, a small but potent silhouette of darkness glowing with power, ready to face the mountain-sized monster barreling towards him. He plants his foot firmly on the ground, creating a shockwave of his own, and draws back his fist. All of his newfound rage, hope, and power are channeled into this single, decisive point. Unleashing everything he has, Kay shoots forward like a cannonball, his body a swirling vortex of dark energy as he throws a punch aimed squarely at the heart of the giant beast. The punch connects with the force of a meteor strike. A brilliant explosion of white light erupts from the point of impact, tearing through the dark forest and obliterating everything in its path. In the aftermath of the devastating blow, Kay floats in the air, his silhouette outlined against the blast. The colossal Cyclops has been completely annihilated, its shadowy form shattered into fragments. His eyes, now glowing with an intense, steady light, gaze upon the destruction he has caused, filled with a power he is only just beginning to understand. For a brief moment, a rainbow of colors flickers within his glowing pupils, a hint at the true, vibrant nature of the power he now wields. As his feet touch the ground, a miraculous transformation begins. The bleak, colorless world of the Black Land starts to change around him in response to his power. Kay watches in stunned silence as the dead forest bursts into life, becoming a lush, vibrant paradise with a sparkling waterfall. He stares in awe, wondering if this beautiful, vivid world is the color he has craved his entire life. However, the paradise is fleeting. The dark energy rapidly recedes from his body, and Kay reverts to his original form. His black hair turns white, and his eyes widen in shock as the power leaves him. He looks at his now powerless hands, completely bewildered. The immense power he just felt is gone as quickly as it came. As his power vanishes, so does the colorful world. The lush forest dissolves back into the desolate, gray landscape of the Black Lands, and Kay screams in despair at the loss. Where the Cyclops was defeated, a brilliant beam of light shoots down from the dark sky, marking the spot of its demise. Kay collapses to his knees, utterly exhausted and drained. The single punch took everything he had. Nero floats down to his side, crying out with concern. He mourns the loss of his beautiful color. The last wisps of dark energy dissipate from his body, leaving him weak and vulnerable once more. Just as despair begins to set in, a sinister, disembodied voice whispers in his mind. It tells him that the prey, the remains of the Cyclops, is right in front of him, and he must eat it quickly. The voice continues its dark counsel, a simple and tempting offer of survival. You don't want to die, right? It's simple. Reach out your hand. His will to survive overrides his hesitation. With a faint glow returning to his eyes, he slowly reaches out his trembling hand towards the monster's remains. He places his hand on the shadowy corpse of the cyclops. Immediately, the dark matter surges towards him, flowing up his arm and being absorbed into his body. Nero watches with wide, worried eyes, letting out a small whimper as he witnesses K consuming the monstrous creature. Two large streams of the cyclops' essence are pulled from its remains and flow directly into K, replenishing his spent energy. The process ends, and K slumps on the ground, exhausted but stable. He looks up at the bleak sky, a sense of relief washing over him. Phew. I'm going to survive. But the dark act he just committed leaves a lingering question about the true cost of that survival. The scene opens on a building with a large sign that reads, Mari Workshop. Inside, a woman with long white hair is focused on her work when the sound of a bell alerts her to a visitor. A mysterious figure, completely hidden by a dark, ragged cloak, stands silhouetted in the doorway. The woman welcomes the guest. With a friendly smile, she asks the visitor, "What brings you here today?" The cloaked figure remains silent and unmoving. Sensing a different kind of purpose, she then asks if they have a special request. Ignoring her questions, the large, cloaked figure walks straight past her, leaving her utterly confused. She turns to him, unnerved, and says, Sir. Don't you realize you look extremely suspicious right now? As the figure continues to approach, her fear turns to aggression. She brandishes a large wrench, threatening him to stay back or she'll blow him away. The figure suddenly lunges towards her, and she lets out a terrified scream. But instead of attacking, the figure pulls down his hood, revealing a young man with black hair and a tired smile. Calm down, Mari, seriously, he says. With a gentle expression, he reveals his identity, simply stating, "It's me." Mari is completely baffled, unable to recognize the person in front of her. She stammers, "Sorry, I barely recognized." Suddenly, realization dawns on her. Her eyes widen in shock as she finally recognizes him, shouting, "K-U-U." Her shock turns into a furious question as she yells, "What happened to your appearance?" Mari starts trembling, her hands shaking not from fear, but from rising anger. Her rage explodes. Wielding both a hammer and a wrench, she screams in fury, "I'm so pissed. I won't forgive those bastards." Kay steps in to calm the enraged Mari, telling her it's fine and that she's already gotten her revenge. Beside them, a small, cat-like creature looks on. Kay gently places the wrench down, admitting he was worried since they had lost contact and never imagined something like this had happened to her. The tension finally breaks. Kay smiles, genuinely glad that she's safe. Mari, looking relieved, apologizes for making him worry. A thought bubble reveals the unbelievable story, surviving a fall into ink waste and even gaining color as a result. Mari voices her concern. Since black is the color of creatures, she worries people will see him in a bad light. But Kay is unfazed, saying what matters is that he got the chance to become a colorist. With newfound determination, Kay announces his plan. He'll head straight to the Pioneering Corps entrance exam, thanking Mari for ensuring he returned on time. He then meekly asks if he could borrow some clothes or spare gear, promising to return it. Mari looks on, completely exasperated by his recurring habit. Despite her feigned annoyance, Mari's expression softens into a bright smile. Still, she exclaims, deciding to consider it an investment in a future colorist. Full of energy, she firmly grabs his hand and declares, "Follow me," pulling him along to get him prepared. Leading Kay by the hand, Mari says with a bright smile, "I happen to have the right items for you." She winks, confidently telling a slightly bewildered Kay, "They'll fit you perfectly." The scene shifts to a massive, Colosseum-like structure, as crowds of people make their way up the steps. Inside, a huge arena is filled with hundreds, if not thousands, of aspiring candidates, all gathered for the exam. Among the crowd, candidates talk nervously. One comments on how nerve-wracking the sheer number of people is, while another tells his friend to just stay alert. Two other candidates reflect on their long journey, amazed they've actually made it to the entrance test for the Dawn Pioneering Corps, a dream for every pioneer. The narration explains that this S-rank corps has the most achievements in the Black Lands and boasts multiple skilled colorists, earning them the title, the Hope of Shining City. A candidate notes the biggest problem: a huge number of very strong candidates have all gathered in one place for this exam. The crowd chatter points out some of the famous faces among them, including a famous bounty hunter who is also the second daughter of a traditional color family. They also spot other recently rising, well-known pioneers in the mix, highlighting the intense level of competition. However, one candidate is getting the most attention from the crowd. He is identified as Gale Sword Gale, a powerful-looking man with green hair who is considered a guaranteed pass. His reputation precedes him. He's said to be strong enough to single-handedly take on rampaging creatures. But his strength comes with a dark side. A flashback shows his cruel and violent nature, which reportedly got him kicked out of his previous corps. One overconfident candidate boasts that people like Gale are nothing special. His friends nervously dismiss his foolish comment. Another one challenges him to say that to Gale's face, but the group just laughs nervously as Gale looks over. Gale looks out at the sea of candidates with a bored, disappointed expression, unimpressed with the level of competition. Scanning the crowd, he mentally dismisses them all, thinking to himself that there isn't a single standout. However, his eyes land on one person who catches his interest. Well, at least, maybe that girl, he thinks. He recognizes her instantly, Ellie Cyan, second daughter of the Cyan family, right? A predatory grin spreads across his face as he acknowledges her potential. As the rumor said, she's decent enough to be noticed, he muses. He stares intently at Ellie, a gloved hand reaching out as if to grasp her, wondering how she and the others will react to his power. Suddenly, a voice booms from a large speaker, demanding the attention of all the candidates. As a voice booms through the stadium announcing the start of the Dawn Pioneering Corps entrance exam, both Gale and Ellie turn their attention to the main stage. The exam is about to begin. On stage, an instructor with bright yellow hair stands ready to address the hopefuls, his silhouette hinting at the power he holds. The crowd looks up in awe as the instructor, a colorist from the Dawn Pioneering Corps with glowing yellow hair and eyes, makes his entrance. The candidates recognize his importance, noting that a colorist showing up personally means the Corps is serious about recruitment this time. One candidate remarks on the instructor's overwhelming presence, realizing that an S-rank corps is on a different level from the very beginning. The instructor, Yellow, looks over the massive crowd and begins his address with a simple, stern welcome. He starts by formally thanking everyone who applied for the difficult entrance exam. He acknowledges that everyone gathered has their own goals and missions, whether it's for money, power, honor, or duty. But he cuts through the sentiment with a harsh truth: ultimately, only skill matters. The Corps is looking for overwhelmingly strong candidates to reclaim human territory. He states bluntly that mediocre people aren't needed and that the first test, a tournament, will begin without delay. The reasoning is simple: the most important skill for a pioneer is combat ability, as they must face the horrors of the outside world. He declares that outside the city, it's a world of survival of the fittest where the weak die. This tournament is where they will prove their abilities. The first matchup is called number 126 against number 286. Gale, number 126, steps forward with a confident smirk. The crowd murmurs, recognizing a heavyweight fight from the start. They pity Gale's opponent. Gale grins, delighted. Lucky me, he thinks. Finally some fun from the start. I was dying of boredom earlier. His eyes gleam with malice as he wonders to himself, how should I play with him? Hee. As his opponent walks onto the stage, Gale lets out a puzzled HM. He's facing a mysterious, fully cloaked figure with a hood covering their face, marked as number 286. What's with that creepy guy? Gale wonders. Gale observes his opponent's posture, judging it to be awkward and incredibly weak. Whatever, doesn't matter, he decides, his hand confidently gripping the hilt of his sword. He draws his blade, telling his opponent that he's been bored keeping quiet for a while. With the stage set, Gale declares there's no need to hold back, and his sword begins to radiate a powerful green energy. The crowd instantly recognizes the technique, exclaiming in shock, "Oh. That's Gale's sword?" They are in awe of his power, commenting that he's truly a genius to be able to handle a sword so well at his age. A thought bubble finishes the crowd's sentiment, truly deserving of being called a genius. Gale digs his foot into the ground, cracking the floor as he prepares to unleash his ultimate attack, issuing a final, chilling warning, "If you fail, you'll get shredded by me." Gale roars, swinging his sword and unleashing a massive wave of green energy that hurtles directly towards the still and silent, cloaked K. Gale's powerful green energy rushes forward, about to consume his opponent. But in a stunning turn of events, before the attack can land, K closes the distance in an instant and smashes his fist directly into Gale's face. The sheer force of the single punch creates a massive shockwave, sending Gale flying backwards across the arena. The entire crowd is rendered speechless, their faces frozen in expressions of utter shock and disbelief. Gale crashes into the stadium wall with devastating force, shattering the stone. The crowd can only stammer, what? Gale. The so-called genius lies defeated in the rubble, taken down in a single hit. The spectators are in an uproar, screaming, "How is this even possible?" With his hood now down, K calmly looks at his fist, remarking to himself, "That startled me." He looks around at the shocked crowd, completely bewildered by the result of his punch, thinking, sudden acceleration, chaos everywhere. The shock in the crowd turns to a different kind of horror. A candidate points, questioning what he saw. "Wait. I'm not seeing this wrong, am I? Black." The terrible realization dawns on the crowd, and even the instructor Yellow looks on in disbelief as they shout, "Black is the same color as creatures." Even the elite Ellie Cyan is completely taken aback, her eyes wide as she wonders, can a human even have that color? The question hangs in the air. Gale's sword was taken out in one hit. Was this the power of black? K now stands alone, the center of everyone's fear and awe. Completely oblivious to the significance of his power, K looks at the stunned and fearful crowd with genuine confusion. Why are they reacting like this, he wonders. Did I make a mistake? The Pioneer exam is underway, with the sounds of battle echoing through the arena as the crowd of applicants watches intently. An applicant with reddish hair, wielding a staff, cries out in terror as he locks massive boulder towards his opponent. His terrified pleas are ignored. But just as the rock is about to crush him, K, the mysterious applicant with black hair, rushes through the barrage. With overwhelming force, K sends his opponent flying, ending the match in an instant. An announcement declares the clear winner, applicant number 286. The scene flashes to another victory for applicant 286, showing him landing a brutal finishing blow on a different opponent. Again, applicant number 286 is declared the winner after a decisive punch to his opponent's face. Watching from a balcony above, a blonde examiner observes the matches, a thoughtful expression on his face as he takes in the scene. The blonde examiner, team leader Yellow, discusses the results with his colleagues. They agree that K looks promising, noting he is the first ever black holder to appear and that they must recruit him before rumors spread. As they talk, a large, imposing figure approaches them from behind, casually remarking on their hard day. Team leader Yellow and his companions are visibly startled by the sudden and unexpected arrival of two new figures. The group is shocked to see the formidable team leader Red, accompanied by a calm, blue-haired woman with glasses. Team leader Yellow nervously asks Red what he's doing here, to which Red waves dismissively, saying he's just passing by. Red mentions a commissioned request he was handling, complaining that it's been a headache with no progress. He then asks if there's anyone worth scouting. Yellow eagerly responds that they can expect good results, as another fight breaks out below. Yellow proudly explains that this year's batch includes the young lady of the prestigious Cyan family, as well as someone extremely unique. Red's eyes flash with interest at the mention of a unique candidate. Yellow leans in and reveals the unique candidate's color, black. Red immediately understands the gravity of this information. Yellow adds that K has already defeated a top-ranked favorite and is achieving such overwhelming results that his admission is practically guaranteed. Red's blue-haired companion asks if this kid might be connected to a past incident, and Red quietly confirms that it's probable. With a sharp, calculating look, Red notes that a new color appearing after that strange incident is just too much of a coincidence. He decides to keep watching for now, his focus entirely on K, who stands alone in the arena, oblivious to the high-level attention he's attracted. K clenches his fist, feeling a surge of power and confidence. He thinks to himself that with this winning streak, becoming a pioneer is definitely possible. However, his confidence is tempered by caution. A dark memory flashes in his mind, and he reminds himself not to overuse his power, fearing he could suddenly lose his color again like last time. With her opponent encased in a prison of ice behind her, the Cyan lady is declared the winner of her match, number 17. Watching from the crowd, Kay and the other applicants are in awe. They murmur among themselves that the Cyan family's color is always impressive and that her skill is exactly what you'd expect from a prestigious household. As the Cyan lady walks away from her victory, leaving a trail of ice shards, Kay watches her, wondering to himself how anyone could possibly beat someone with such incredible power. The Cyan lady stops abruptly as she passes Kay, their eyes meeting for a brief, tense moment. Kay is confused by her sudden stop, while the Cyan lady gives him a sharp, scrutinizing look. She narrows her eyes, studying him intently before moving on. She walks away without a word, leaving Kay utterly bewildered as an announcement declares the conclusion of the first exam. Team leader Yellow steps forward to address the remaining applicants, thanking them for their hard work in the first round. He announces that since they are running behind schedule, they will move straight to the next test. The applicants who failed are instructed to head back and try again next time, and they begin to file out, dejected. The remaining candidates are exhausted and anxious, complaining that the exam is tough with not a moment to breathe, and hoping the next test will be easier. Just as team leader Yellow is about to announce the details of the next test, he hesitates, sensing an interruption. Team leader Red steps forward with a smirk, taking over the announcement. He declares that the second exam will be led personally by him. Team leader Yellow can only watch, surprised, as Red places a hand on his shoulder and takes control. Addressing the murmuring crowd of applicants, Red explains that the test is simple. His eyes glow as he says the single word, endure. A powerful, fiery aura begins to radiate from him. In an instant, Red unleashes his immense power, blasting the arena with waves of scorching red energy that engulf the terrified applicants. The applicants are suddenly trapped, each one encased in a sphere of blistering, fiery energy. With a confident smile, Red explains that he has recreated the environment of a region he once experienced, warning them that it's about to get pretty hot. He elaborates that the Black Lands are full of extreme environments where humans can barely survive, showing visions of volcanic fields, desolate wastes, and frozen plains. He dismissively states that compared to the true horrors of the Black Lands, what they are experiencing now is nothing more than a warm stove. Red looks down on them, stating that the test is simple, endure and you pass. But if they can't withstand even this, they never had the qualification to be a pioneer in the first place. The applicants immediately begin to suffer, crying out in pain from the intense heat. They can't believe this is supposed to be a warm stove, and wonder what kind of place the Black Lands truly are. Panic sets in as the applicants realize their own abilities can't even scratch the surface of the fiery barriers. With no other option, all they can do is try to hold on and endure the blistering heat. Watching the overwhelming display, Team Leader Yellow remarks that while he'd heard rumors of Red slacking on his training, his skills clearly haven't dulled in the slightest. From his vantage point, Red looks down at the field of fiery orbs. Team Leader Yellow is in awe, thinking to himself that Red's control is incredible to be able to cover so many people with a barrier in an instant. Yellow smirks, acknowledging that this level of power is just what you'd expect from someone who has reached the absolute peak of their abilities. While most applicants are suffering, a sphere of brilliant cyan-colored ice suddenly clashes against Red's fiery barrier, cracking under the intense heat. The other applicants are shocked to see the Cyan Lady has manifested her own protective barrier, creating a stark contrast to their fiery prisons. With a burst of power, the Cyan Lady shatters her own defensive ice shard, standing completely unharmed and composed within the fiery test. Even Team Leader Red is taken aback by this display, murmuring to himself that her performance is pretty good. Red notes that while the Cyan family's power should have been a natural counter, she still broke through his barrier almost immediately. He looks at her with newfound respect, admitting that this girl might actually deserve to be called a real prodigy. Having acknowledged the Cyan Lady's talent, Red turns his attention to the other unique applicant he was told about, wondering, anyway, what about that other kid? He scans the fiery orbs and finds K, applicant 286, who is still standing and holding on somehow, though clearly struggling. Red strokes his chin, looking unimpressed. He observes that K is only enduring, not breaking through like the Cyan Lady did. Losing interest, Red turns away, muttering that it's not like he expected much from K to begin with. Inside the barrier, K is in a full-blown panic. He realizes he's completely screwed and has no idea what to do. He curses himself, remembering how he used up far too much of his color in the previous fights. If he'd known this was coming, he would have paced himself. He can feel his power draining faster the longer he holds on. To his horror, he sees his black color beginning to leak out of him uncontrollably. The fear of what will happen if he's revealed to be colorless in front of everyone, especially the examiners, grips him. He knows that if he's lucky, he'll just end up as a lab rat. Desperate, K realizes he can't just sit there. He needs to find a way out, frantically trying to remember if there is something he can absorb like he did last time. As he searches for something, anything, to absorb, his gaze falls upon the swirling red energy of the barrier itself. A dangerous idea forms in his mind. He realizes the barrier itself is a color ability, wondering if it would be possible to absorb it. He recalls the wild, untamed nature of his absorption ability, admitting to himself that he still doesn't truly know its limits. The heat is becoming unbearable. With no time left to think, K decides he has to try. He presses his hand directly against the fiery barrier. The moment his hand makes contact, his black color erupts from his palm, beginning to directly absorb the red energy of the barrier. The effect is instantaneous and violent, causing a massive flare-up of red and black energy that shocks the nearby applicants. K's absorption power erupts, sending a shockwave through the arena as a chaotic vortex of black and red energy explodes from his position, stunning everyone present. Even the examiners are left speechless. Team Leader Yellow and Red can only stare, their eyes wide with shock and disbelief at the unprecedented event unfolding before them. Team Leader Red continues to stare in disbelief, unable to comprehend what just happened as he mutters, "What in the world?" His shock slowly turns into a look of intrigued amusement. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as a wide, unnerving smile spreads across his lips. As K stands wreathed in a storm of black and red energy, his eyes glowing menacingly, Red declares with a wild grin, "Ha! Looks like we've got a real lunatic this time. The chaotic energy subsides, leaving an eerie silence in the arena. Kei stands alone in the center, a faint dark aura still emanating from him as the other applicants stare from a distance, completely stunned. The reality of what he's just done crashes down on Kei. With a panicked grin, he realizes this wasn't supposed to happen and curses himself, thinking, damn it, I stood out way too much. So we open on our resident Ice Queen, the Cyan Lady, having a full-blown internal crisis. This exam was supposed to be her big moment, her chance to prove herself, but then she saw something that just broke her brain. Something black. And there he is. Our boy, Kei. The source of all her anxiety. He's just standing there, looking like a depressed anime protagonist, and the whole world is losing its mind. A new color? Something unprecedented. You love to see it. Cyan Lady tries to keep her composure, but you can see the cracks forming. It's just a faint feeling, but it's anxiety. The kind of anxiety you get when you realize you might not be the main character anymore. And we get a little trip down memory lane. Turns out, she was raised in one of those families. The kind where second place is just a fancy term for failure. So, naturally, she has a pathological need to be the best. And the pressure is real. She couldn't risk upsetting her sister, who, judging by the creepy faceless presentation, is probably the source of all this family trauma. Her mind flashes back to the absolute beatdown Kei delivered earlier. She admits it herself, the guy was strong. So strong that even if she went all out, she wasn't sure she could win. And that, folks, is terrifying for a perfectionist. But it's more than just strength. There's this aura around him. This all-consuming void that can't be explained away. She's left asking the million-dollar question. What is he? And she tries to shake it off. Don't overthink it, she tells herself. It doesn't matter. Oh, honey. It always matters. Just as things are getting introspective, he shows up. Say hello to Red. You know, the guy with hair so loud it has its own personality. He's immediately fascinated by Kei's little black hole trick. Subtlety is not his strong suit. And he's a little too friendly, throwing an arm around Kei and trying to pry into his secrets. The concept of personal space is completely lost on this man. Kei is clearly uncomfortable and asks about the exam, but Red just brushes it off. Oh, you pass, don't worry, I'll take care of it. This guy oozes, I'm powerful and I know it energy. The realization hits Kei like a truck. Pass. Wait, so standing out and looking menacing actually worked? Finally, I'm a pioneer now. He's just a little excited. Just as Kei is having his moment, Red gets called out from across the arena by a man who is very yellow. Apparently, Red's little stunt is holding up the whole exam. Some people just have no respect for the rules. So, Yellow, the exam proctor, makes an official announcement. Due to unexpected circumstances, aka Red, the exam has been interrupted. But don't worry, the show will go on. For almost everyone. The rest will have to take an additional test. Everyone, that is, except for number 17, our dear Cyan Lady, who apparently just decided to walk out of the barrier on her own. Because of course she did. And as the announcement is made, Cyan Lady just watches as Red leads Kei away into some dark, ominous tunnel. Nothing suspicious about that at all. Sometime later, Red and Kei pull up in a vintage car. Red tells him to wait here. The casual "I'll be right back" before revealing a life-altering secret is a classic villain move. They stand overlooking a completely demolished city, and Kei instantly recognizes it. This is where it all started. This is where he fell into INK waste. Red nonchalantly points out what an ugly sight it is, confirming an incident happened here not long ago. The gears in Kei's head start turning, and the look on his face is pure shock. Red explains that two pioneers, people who had colors, turned colorless. A phenomenon that had never happened before. Not only that, but eyewitnesses claimed they saw a massive creature. You can probably see where this is going. And then, Red delivers the punchline. Not long after this monster sighting, you appeared. The first person with the color black. Quite the coincidence, huh? Kay is, understandably, shook. Red's eye glows as he spells it out. A power that absorbs other colors, a completely foreign ability. The accusation hangs heavy in the air. Kay is sweating bullets, realizing he's been completely cornered. The "I'm just a normal guy" act isn't going to fly here, not when he's being stared down by a man who has clearly already connected all the dots. And that's when it all clicks into place. The friendly act in the arena, the casual intervention in the exam, being brought to this exact spot. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a calculated move. This guy. He realized it from the very start. So, we pick up right where we left off. Kay is having a very normal, very calm reaction to being completely figured out. His internal monologue is just screaming, "Can I run? No, impossible." Because the guy in front of him isn't just some schmuck. He's someone even other colorists call a hero. But Red, being the master manipulator that he is, just laughs it off. "Huh, I was just testing you," he says, with the smuggest look on his face. But reacting that honestly makes it less fun. He's playing with him. And he's enjoying it. Red then drops the act. He admits that while his job is to investigate the incident, he's honestly more interested in Kay's ability. This isn't about justice. This is about curiosity. He gives Kay a little lesson in magical physics. Color powers are simple, but they don't mix. It's a fundamental rule of their world. A rule that Kay, apparently, just completely ignores. And that's what has Red so fascinated. Kay's ability just breaks the system. It ignores all the complicated relationships between colors and does whatever the hell it wants. Then he goes in for the kill shot. He flashes back to Kay's little black hole stunt during the exam and says what he's been thinking all along: "You can't control it, right?" And Kay has nothing. He's caught. He can't even form a sentence. That one question just completely shatters his composure. Seeing his opening, Red gets this glint in his eye. Yeah, he says, "We need to run a test." Kay's response is a very appropriate, "Sorry? Did you just say test?" Red holds out his hand like he's about to ask for a dance. "I need to know how far your ability goes, how it feels, how it works." This is getting weirder and weirder. And then, the most insane proposition imaginable. "So go on," Red says with a smile, "try absorbing mine." He's asking Kay to literally attack a national hero. This can't possibly end well. Kay, understandably, freaks out. "No, that's dangerous." But Red just scoffs at him. "You're far too early to be worrying about me, rookie." The sheer arrogance, it's magnificent. The smile drops. Red's tone gets cold. "Quit talking and try it." Kay realizes he doesn't have a choice. His face hardens. It's on. But not before a little monologue. Red explains that black represents an ominous force that devours everything. And leaving a power like that unchecked is unacceptable. And to really hammer the point home, he casually manifests a giant, glowing red blade. "In the worst case," he says, "we might have to deal with you here." It's not a suggestion. It's a promise. Trapped and out of options, Kay gives in. He grabs Red's arm. "Fine," he says, "let's give it a try." The handshake that could end his life. The moment he makes contact, it begins. Red's power floods into him, a raw, violent energy that Kay is clearly not prepared for. It's not a gentle stream, it's a fire hose. And Kay is immediately consumed. His own black energy mixes with Red's, and he's lost in a storm of power. His eyes go blank. This is what losing control looks like. Even through the chaos, Kay can feel it. He's not just absorbing Red's power, he's being overwhelmed by it. This is a whole different league of strength. And Red? He's just standing there, taking notes. It's sucking without rest, like it's starving. He's so calm it's terrifying. He's treating this like a science experiment while Kay is having his soul ripped out. He continues his analysis mid-disaster. Strong people could probably resist, he muses, but it's still obviously dangerous to most people. You think? But then, something happens that even Red didn't expect. Kay's power starts to change, to morph. It's taking on a new form, a solid, crystalline shape. That form. Red exclaims. Kay's body is being encased in a jagged, red and black armor. It's not just absorbing anymore. It's evolving. And it looks incredibly painful. Seeing this transformation, Red's eyes narrow. The final piece of the puzzle clicks into place. So you really were the one behind the incident. The test wasn't a test. It was a confirmation. Red decides playtime is over. I've got a lot to figure out from you, but first, I need to put out the fire in front of me. He can see Kay is about to go full monster mode. With his hand engulfed in flames, Red prepares to intervene. Before you rampage any further, he says, his voice deadly serious, I'll have to subdue you. And as Red prepares to throw down, we dive inside Kay's head. And folks, it is not a nice place to be right now. He's being bombarded by these voices, this primal hunger from his own power. Need it, want more, accept it. It's the classic inner demon monologue, and it wants to take over. But Kay isn't going down that easy. With his face half consumed by this monstrous energy, he finds his resolve. He clenches his fist and screams back at the void, shut up and stay crushed. And with a massive surge of willpower, he forces the rampaging power back in. It explodes outwards for a second, a desperate attempt to stay free, but Kay slams the lid back on the monster. Red, who was all geared up for a fight, just stands there, completely stunned. The storm of energy just vanishes into thin air. He looks genuinely surprised for the first time. He's left staring at a panting, exhausted Kay. You suppressed it, he asks, almost in disbelief. He just witnessed a rookie wrestle a catastrophic power into submission through sheer will. That's not supposed to happen. The adrenaline wears off and Kay starts to freak out. Insane. I really thought I was dead, he screams, completely bewildered. Why the hell did I go berserk out of nowhere? And then the social anxiety kicks in. The horror of realizing he just had a full-blown demonic episode, in front of one of the most powerful and respected colorists alive. The second-hand embarrassment is crippling. But Red is smiling. He claims he was caught off guard because the power was stronger than he expected, but then says, this means it was a success, right? Before adding with a chuckle. Seriously, this is fun. This man is a menace. He dusts himself off, completely unfazed. Good, that's enough for the test. And then, with the most sinister tone shift imaginable, he says, oh, by the way. The other shoe drops. Red reveals that he's the one who was officially assigned to handle the ink waste incident. He's not just some curious bystander, he is the law. And since he has to find the culprit, and right in front of him stands a kid who just demonstrated the exact same power that caused the disaster, well. He looks Kay dead in the eyes and calls him a very strong suspect. Red then proceeds to twist the knife, laying out the consequences. First, there's the several hundred million in damages. Then, he casually mentions that if the city decides his ability is too dangerous, they might banish him, or worse, turn him into a lab rat. Kay is officially in panic mode. Damn it. There's no escape. He's trapped. He's technically a victim in all of this, but who would ever believe him now? And then, Red dangles the bait. Well, he says with a lazy drawl, if you come under me, maybe I can do something about it. And Kay, desperate and broken, immediately takes it, bowing so low his head almost hits the ground. I'm in your care. But Red isn't done. He holds up a hand, stopping him. He makes it very clear this isn't a charity case. There's a price. You'll have to grant me a few favors in return. Think you can handle that? Kei's face lights up with the deranged smile of a man with no other options. Becoming an errand boy is infinitely better than being a lab experiment. Yes, of course. I'll do anything you need, he shouts, sealing his fate. The chapter ends on Red's chilling, predatory grin. The look of a wolf that has just cornered its prey. He savors the word, letting it hang in the air. Oh. Anything? Peering through a small porthole, Kei's expression is a mixture of anxiety and wonder. He's never ventured this far out before, and the apprehension is clear on his face. The sheer scale of the steam-powered landship is immense as it trundles across the desolate landscape. For Kei, this is a monumental moment, perhaps the very first step of his new life as a pioneer. Kei's reflection is interrupted by a sharp voice. Gino, a man with vibrant green hair and another member of the team, addresses him condescendingly as the black hair. Kei turns to see Gino sitting with his arms crossed, beside a woman with cyan hair. Gino seems pleased with himself, thinking this pioneer work is exactly what he'd been hoping for. Gino smirks with a dark expression, his eyes hidden in shadow. The thought of being team members now with Kei is clearly something that displeases him greatly. Cyan stares ahead with a pensive look. She seems to be lost in thought, contemplating the reality of their current situation. The scene flashes back to a previous conversation. Kei looks bewildered as he is unexpectedly asked to join an exploration team. Red explains that he's secured a spot in an unexplored area and needs Kei's help for the mission. Noticing Kei's hesitant expression, Red laughs it off, telling him not to make such a worried face. Red elaborates that Kei won't be going alone. He shows a map indicating several outposts, explaining that all the new recruits are joining, so he'll just be one of many. Red informs Kei that the Corps will announce the full expedition plan soon, so he should wait for further instructions. The details will be provided then. Red smiles, giving Kei his final, simple instructions before leaving. Red's only command for now is to be on time and show up at the designated spot. Kei is left to process this sudden recruitment. Back in the present, Kei recalls the conversation. He understands now that when he boarded the vehicle, Gino and Cyan were already here waiting for him. His thoughts drift to how this team was formed. Because Red had interfered with the Pioneer exam, the process was shaken up, giving everyone a second chance to prove themselves. This is how a number of other strong contenders, like Gino, managed to pass the extra test and qualify as pioneers. Furthermore, Cyan, who was the top scorer of the exam under the name Ellie, specifically requested to join Red's team herself. Returning to the present, Gino glares at Kei, seething internally. He can't believe he allowed himself to be embarrassed by this seemingly clueless newcomer during the exam. He grits his teeth, remembering his humiliating defeat at Kei's hands. He tells himself that he just let his guard down for a second, and that next time, Kei won't be so lucky. Gino continues to stew in his anger, vowing that once the exploration ends, he'll be ready for a rematch. He mutters that if Cyan hadn't been there, he would have acted already. Sitting nearby, a woman with braided purple hair and glasses adjusts her frames, seemingly oblivious to Gino's internal monologue. Cyan cuts through the tension with a cold dose of reality. She bluntly tells Gino to just drop it, reminding him that if he were to fight Kei again, he'd just be knocked out anyway. "You're wasting your breath," Cyan states, looking directly at the fuming Gino. "Kei is completely out of your league." Gino can only stare back, utterly speechless and stunned by her declaration. Cyan smirks, thinking that she and Kei might actually get along. She then declares out loud that she will be the one to challenge Kei first, catching him completely off guard. Kei is utterly baffled. He doesn't understand what Cyan is talking about, claiming they made eye contact and came to an agreement. With a cold glare, Cyan tells Gino that since he already lost, he should just keep quiet and wait his turn, leaving him stunned and speechless. The air crackles with tension. Kay stands awkwardly between a furious Gino and a composed Cyan, caught in the middle of their burgeoning rivalry. Kay sweats, a look of deep unease in his eyes. He is completely unsure how this dysfunctional team is supposed to work together. As the landship travels through the desolate, ink-black plains towards a distant outpost, Kay can't shake the feeling that this mission is not going to work out well. The massive vehicle finally arrives at a bustling industrial harbor, where workers and pioneers are busy loading and unloading supplies. As they disembark, Kay takes in the impressive sight. So this is the Dawn Pioneer Outpost, the forward base for all expeditions into the Black Land. He marvels at the scale of the operation. He's used to preparing for solo trips, so he had no idea that the S-Class Corps handled everything on such a massive scale, from supplies to setup. Suddenly, Kay is startled as a friendly hand pokes him on the cheek, pulling him from his thoughts. A familiar, smiling face appears before him. It's a young woman with white hair. "What are you spacing out for?" she asks playfully. Kay's face lights up with joy. "Mari. You came," he exclaims. She smiles back, saying of course she had to be there for his very first mission. Mari then reveals another surprise, announcing that Nero, Kay's small, cat-like companion, is here too. The creature pops its head out from her jacket. Kay takes Nero into his arms, thanking Mari for looking after him. She brushes it off, saying it's nothing because she considers Nero to be her family, too. Mari explains that joining the Dawn Corps' expedition is an awesome opportunity for her as well, since her practical skills are coming in handy, and it's great for her experience. Just then, a voice booms over a megaphone, calling for assembly time. All the pioneers, including Kay and Mari, turn their attention to the stage. A leader addresses the gathered crowd, announcing that, as planned, they will all be entering the Black Land soon. Realizing it's time to go, Kay gently hands Nero back to Mari, asking her to please take care of him. She agrees, promising to leave him to her. Mari gives him a final piece of advice, telling him not to do anything reckless. With a smile, Kay says his goodbyes and turns to join his group. Mari tries to comfort the whimpering Nero, who is clearly sad to see Kay leaving. Suddenly, Nero leaps from Mari's grasp with a surprising burst of energy, causing her to exclaim in surprise. Mari watches in horror as Nero sails through the air, following after Kay, who is walking away, oblivious. Instead of landing on the ground, Nero dives directly into Kay's shadow, which ripples like a pool of liquid ink upon impact. Mari's eyes go wide with shock and disbelief, her mind unable to comprehend what she just witnessed as Nero vanishes completely. Completely flustered, she stammers in confusion, calling out as Kay begins to walk away, Huh? What's going on? Kay, hold up. Mari stands frozen, her hand outstretched as Kay disappears into the crowd. She quietly wonders to herself if the bizarre event she just witnessed is actually no big deal. She tries to reassure herself, thinking that what she saw was probably nothing to worry about, even as the image of Nero vanishing into shadow lingers in her mind. Meanwhile, the main body of pioneers gathers in a massive, dimly lit cavern, the staging ground for their dangerous expedition. The expedition leader, a woman with vibrant orange hair named Arancia, shouts to the assembled group, telling them to get ready to head into the Black Land. With a powerful voice, Arancia gives her most important command, and remember, safety always comes first on every mission. She warns them that according to scouts, Area 21 has had reports of unknown dangerous creatures. It's the same area where the corpse of an A-rank creature was found, making it an extremely high-risk zone. After the briefing, one of her subordinates approaches her with a concerned look. "Lady Arancia," he calls out, telling her to stay sharp. Arancia turns to him, asking what the matter is. He nervously begins to explain that Chief Red is taking the new recruits. And they left their assigned formation without permission. The news hits Arancia like a lightning bolt, her eyes widening in disbelief and fury. "What? For real?" she exclaims. The subordinate confirms that it's true. He reminds her that with Red gone, she is now in charge of the entire site, leaving her to deal with the mess. Arantxa sighs in frustration, muttering about Red's constant troublemaking. Despite her anger, her priority is her team's safety, and she asks her senior officer to please bring the rookies back safe. The scene shifts to a dark and desolate canyon, far from the main expedition group. This is where Red has taken his team. K's hand emerges from a pool of darkness, as if pulling himself out of his own shadow. It appears Nero has safely transported him to this new location. Red's special team is now all together in the eerie canyon. Red stands confidently at the front, with K, a displeased Gino, and a calm Cyan behind him. K, looking around at the foreboding environment, nervously asks Red if their separate mission is really safe. Red, glowing with a faint red aura, simply replies that their destination is different from the main group's. K presses on, voicing his concern that the team is composed entirely of rookies, which makes the unsanctioned mission feel even more dangerous. K then turns to his teammates, asking why they tagged along since he thought Red only wanted him. Gino explodes, refusing to be left behind by someone like K, while Cyan coolly states she has no intention of letting K monopolize Red's special training. Red smirks, clarifying that he never planned to hand-feed anyone. However, he reassures them that with him present, they won't get seriously hurt. With a look of supreme confidence, Red reminds them of his power, stating simply, "I'm on this team, after all." He cuts the discussion short, ordering the team to stop talking and start moving. K's eyes show a mix of apprehension and resolve. As Red leads them deeper into the canyon with a mysterious glowing device, shadowy creatures with glowing eyes begin to crawl out from the darkness, surrounding the team. Cyan is the first to react, launching herself into battle. With her sword drawn, she unleashes a brilliant slash of energy, cutting down a shadow beast. With a look of intense concentration, Cyan takes in her surroundings. This is her first real taste of combat in the hostile environment of the Black Land. She finds herself surrounded by an endless horde of creatures. The air is heavy and suffocating, and she quickly realizes that a real fight is nothing like the controlled environment of training. She glances at her spoit, a device that stores her colored energy. Knowing that the creatures are endless, she realizes she must conserve her power, or she'll run out fast. As she fights, Cyan glances at K, who is handling the shadow creatures with an unnerving ease. She realizes she needs to be more strategic to keep up. Meanwhile, K fights with a quiet determination. Cyan's eyes widen slightly. She notices something strange and unorthodox about the way K is fighting. She calls out to him over the sounds of battle, asking a question that has been bothering her: "Why don't you use a spoit?" K looks back, momentarily flustered. He stammers, thinking back to the entrance test, realizing he didn't use one there either. He gives a casual, almost sheepish reply that leaves his teammates stunned: "I don't have one." Cyan is shocked into silence as K explains that the weapons are simply too expensive, and he figured he could get by without one. "So I never used one," K finishes. The revelation hits Gino the hardest, and he stares with a mixture of shock and fury. Gino is incredulous. A spoit is a must-have, a fundamental weapon for any pioneer fighting creatures in the Black Land. The entire system of their combat revolves around this principle: to take down a creature, a pioneer must mix colors into it with a spoit. The implication of K's statement slowly dawns on Gino. He looks at K, standing calmly among the dissipating creatures, and realizes he took one down completely barehanded. Gino glances down at his own glowing green spoit, a symbol of his pioneer status, and lets out a frustrated grunt. The memory of his defeat during the exam comes flooding back, now layered with a fresh coat of humiliation. "Then I went up against a guy who doesn't even use a spoit and couldn't even scratch him." He grits his teeth, the shame and frustration boiling over as he curses his own weakness. His humiliation hardens into a vengeful glare. He makes a silent, furious vow: "K. Someday I'll crush you with my own hands." Red, holding a lantern that cuts through the gloom, walks past the fuming Gino, seemingly oblivious to his internal turmoil. Observing the intense rivalry brewing between his rookies, Red allows himself a small, satisfied smirk. This is exactly the kind of competitive fire he was hoping to ignite. With a smug look, Red thinks to himself that things are about to get much more interesting. He turns to his team, who stand at the edge of a deep, dark chasm. "Come on now," he calls out cheerfully. "We're almost there, just push a little more. Let's finish up fast and go celebrate." In a dark, cavernous area, the shadowy remains of defeated creatures litter the ground, their forms slowly dissipating after a fierce battle. The team gathers. Their leader, Captain Red, announces that they haven't even started the main mission yet and tells them not to relax too much. He gives the party, including Kay, Gale, and a Cyan, 10 minutes to regroup before moving out. Kay's eyes widen as he spots a vial. He immediately recognizes it as personal ink. Gale doesn't hesitate to drink the restorative liquid. A flashback explains what personal ink is, a specially refined alchemical ink, an essential and expensive supply for pioneers that restores their unique color and vitality. The ink is crafted to match the user's unique color, making it insanely expensive. Kay watches with a frustrated look as both Cyan and Gale casually chug down their expensive inks. He thinks to himself, "Damn. I'm jealous." As Kay walks away from the group, Cyan looks over at him, holding her own vial, seemingly noticing that he isn't partaking. Kay thinks to himself that it's not like he really needs it anyway. Kay suddenly stops and turns back toward his teammates, his hand outstretched with a strange intensity. Cyan and Gale look on, confused, wondering what he's trying to do. From his hand, Kay unleashes his power, a vortex of black energy that reaches out and begins to absorb the remnants of the creatures they just defeated. With black wisps of energy dissipating from his clenched fist, Kay lets out a breath of relief, feeling his strength return. "Alright, recovery complete," he declares. His teammates stare at him, completely stunned by his bizarre method of recovery. Gale cautiously asks, "Kay, are you sure you're okay?" Kay casually reassures them he's fine, having done this many times. But his teammates are in disbelief. Cyan asks how he could absorb a creature with no consequences, while Gale thinks it's unbelievable he could take something like that without flinching. Their discussion is cut short as Captain Red turns to the group, asking if they've rested enough. It's time to move. With a confident smirk, Captain Red looks over his shoulder at the team and announces, "We're here now." Before them looms their destination, a colossal, swirling mass of pure black energy, causing the surrounding rocks to crumble and float into its vortex. Kay stares at the spectacle, his face a mask of shock and confusion. He recognizes the phenomenon, asking, "A black curtain?" The camera zooms in on the ominous, swirling abyss, a void that seems to consume all light and matter around it, leaving the party to wonder, what is this? Captain Red glances at the stunned Kay with a knowing smile. "That's the reason I brought you here," he says calmly. To demonstrate his point, Captain Red tells them to see for themselves as he summons a swirling ball of crimson energy in his hand. With his team watching from behind, he unleashes a powerful beam of red energy directly at the black curtain. The crimson blast streaks across the cavern and strikes the center of the swirling black mass. Instead of damaging it, the red energy is instantly consumed, splashing into the vortex and disappearing completely, causing the curtain to flare. The party watches as the red energy vanishes without a trace. Captain Red turns to them and confirms what they just witnessed, explaining, "If you try to force it open, it absorbs that power and becomes even tougher." He then directs his gaze to a stunned Kay. "The absorption part is similar to your ability, isn't it?" Red says, a smirk playing on his lips. "That's why I had a hunch your power could erase this barrier." This revelation finally makes it clear why Kay was brought on this dangerous, unauthorized mission. Captain Red continues his explanation, revealing that inside the curtain lies the path to a set of ruins. It's within these ruins, he states, that they will find the true objective of their expedition. He reveals the name of their prize, the Stella fragment. The revelation shocks Kay, whose eyes widen in disbelief. The other members of the team are just as surprised. Gale and Cyan state that this is the first time they've heard about it either. Kay remains silent, his expression unreadable as he processes the captain's sudden revelation about their true mission. Captain Red casually dismisses their surprise. He confirms the Stella fragment exists and that Shining City is desperately hunting for it, promising to explain the details later. With the objective revealed, Captain Red refocuses on the immediate task. "First, let's get rid of that curtain," he orders. A determined K responds, yes." Leaving his team behind, K walks alone towards the edge of the massive, swirling vortex of darkness. He cautiously reaches out, his hand hovering just inches away from the curtain's unstable, shadowy surface. K places his palm directly onto the black curtain. Immediately, his dark power activates, and black energy begins to swirl around his hand as he starts the absorption process. The team watches as K, now a small figure against the immense void, begins to absorb the entire black curtain into himself. Captain Red watches with a wide, sinister grin, pleased with the result. "Oh." As expected, he mutters to himself. As K continues his work, the others notice the effect. The massive barrier is slowly but surely disappearing. Captain Red lets out a sinister laugh. "Hehehe, K, your power is gonna be real useful from now on," he exclaims, while K visibly strains from the effort of absorption. Suddenly, the entire cavern begins to shake violently. The team is thrown off balance, with Gale shouting, "NGH. What? This shaking?" Cyan expresses her concern, realizing the potential consequence of the disturbance. If it's this noisy, the creatures will. The team looks up into the darkness as ominous rumbling and screeching sounds echo from all around them, confirming their fears. Just as they feared, the noise attracts unwanted attention. Silhouettes of monstrous, shadowy creatures with sharp teeth and claws begin to emerge from the darkness. A massive horde of varied shadow creatures descends upon them, their glowing eyes fixed on the party. Captain Red laughs, completely unfazed by the swarm. Quite the crowd gathering," he remarks, as Cyan and Gale ready their weapons for the impending fight. Captain Red calmly issues his orders. "We'll handle the creatures while K removes the curtain," he commands, as K continues to focus on absorbing the massive barrier before them. As he walks forward holding a strange white lantern, Captain Red gives a final, chilling order to his two combat-ready subordinates: "Wipe them all out." Without hesitation, Gale and Cyan leap into action, charging headfirst into the swarm of monsters. Gale spins through the air, his blade glowing with green energy as he unleashes a powerful slash that cuts through multiple shadow creatures at once. Following his lead, Cyan unleashes her power, summoning massive, sharp spires of blue energy that erupt from the ground, impaling the monsters from below. Captain Red stands back, observing the battle with a detached amusement. Seeing his teammates handle the situation effectively, he notes, "Looks like there was no need at all," before casually dispatching a few stray creatures with beams of his own red energy. Captain Red internally praises his team. He had thought he would need to babysit the new recruits, but seeing Gale and Cyan fight so effectively, he concludes that he can work with them. Below them, K continues to struggle, absorbing the black curtain that now seems to be infused with red energy. With a pleased, almost lazy expression, Captain Red muses on how nice it is when his subordinates can take care of things on their own. While Captain Red watches from a distance, casually dispatching monsters, K is on his knees, pouring all his focus and energy into absorbing the last of the black curtain. As he absorbs the energy, K feels something is wrong. He questions why the curtain's power feels so similar to his own, wondering if it's just because they are both the same black color. He realizes the true danger: this is a contest of wills. If he loses focus for even a second, the curtain will fight back and try to steal his color instead. But when it comes to a contest of strength, K declares, "I'm stronger." He unleashes a final, powerful surge of his absorption ability, overwhelming the curtain's resistance. With a final breath, K stands up on the ledge, having finally absorbed everything. The massive black vortex is gone. He looks down into the abyss that the curtain was concealing. He questions if this is truly the entrance to the ruins, noting that he can't even see the bottom of the massive pit. Kay turns away from the pit and calls out to his leader, who is still overseeing the battle against the monster horde. Team leader. Curtain removed. Captain Red turns back with a smug grin. Oh. Good, good, he says, praising Kay for his work and reminding him that his instincts are never wrong. With the way forward now clear, Captain Red shouts to his other two subordinates, ordering them to clean up the rest of the monsters and gather up. But just as they are about to finish the fight, he abruptly stops them. You don't have to kill every single one. He starts to say, sensing something new. His eyes flash with alarm as a powerful presence makes itself known, far stronger than the fodder they've been fighting. A massive, unseen force suddenly sweeps across the battlefield below, shocking Gale and Cyan as their enemies are targeted by an unknown attacker. In an instant, the entire horde of shadow creatures is completely obliterated, torn to shreds by the powerful attack. The three members on the ledge look down, stunned into silence by the sudden and overwhelming display of power. Gale can only stare in wide-eyed disbelief, stammering, "Huh? What the?" From their high vantage point, they see that the chasm opens up into a vast, tiled arena. The area is now completely clear of monsters. One of them says, "That's impossible." Captain Red's relaxed demeanor vanishes, replaced by a grimace. "Huh. No wonder everything was going so smoothly," he mutters, realizing their easy progress was too good to be true. He reveals to his team that he had received a report that a dangerous entity was lurking nearby, flashing back to an image of a colossal, monstrous being cornering two explorers. He just didn't think that guy would actually show up. Down below, standing over the remains of the dead creatures, a lone, menacing figure appears out of the smoke. Staring down at the massive blade of the newcomer, Captain Red realizes the situation has changed. "Looks like we're out of time to fool around," he says grimly. The dangerous entity is revealed in full. A tall, intimidating figure in a tattered black cloak, with a half-mask covering one side of his face. His visible hair is stark white, and he carries an arsenal of powerful weapons on his back. The camera closes in on the dangerous entity's face, revealing the chilling detail of his appearance, a glowing white eye behind a dark, bird-like mask, and a scarred but human-like face with stark white hair and a cold, determined gaze. The arrival of the dangerous entity changes everything. Captain Red's playful demeanor vanishes, replaced by a grim resolve as he makes a sudden, drastic decision. Ignoring Kay's concerned shout, his red aura flares as he prepares to give a shocking new order. In a shocking turn of events, Captain Red shoves the white lantern into a stunned Kay's hands. "You're going into the ruins," he commands, "right now." He continues his order, teasing the three rookies that they will work together to find the Stella fragment without him. Red expresses his confidence that their combined abilities are enough for the task, but Kay protests in absolute shock, "You us, by ourselves?" "Stop whining and go," Red says coldly, and without another word, he shoves all three of them off the ledge into the pitch-black abyss below. As they plummet into the darkness, Kay, Gale, and Cyan all scream their leader's name in betrayal and terror. Their cries of "What are we supposed to do on our own?" echo as they fall. Above, on the cliff edge, the glowing red silhouette of Captain Red faces off against the dark, imposing silhouette of the dangerous entity. A split panel shows the two powerful beings, their expressions cold and resolute. The dangerous entity and Captain Red are now locked in a silent standoff, ready for a battle that will shake the very foundations of the Inkwaste Zone. Kay crashes onto the ground below, his vision fading to black and white as the shock and exertion take their toll. "Ugh. My head." He groans, barely conscious. As Kay struggles to understand where he is, the lantern Captain Red forced upon him begins to emit a warm, powerful glow, cutting through the darkness. Kay holds the glowing lantern aloft, its light spreading across the strange new environment, restoring color and clarity to his vision. His eyes, now wide with shock, take in the scene revealed by the lantern's light. It's far from what he could have ever imagined. He's not in an ancient temple or tomb. The ruins are the desolate, crumbling remains of a massive modern city. He stands alone amidst the wreckage of skyscrapers, utterly bewildered. "What is this place?" he asks the empty air. From a high vantage point, Kay looks down upon a vast, ruined city, completely awestruck. Incredible, he murmurs. With a bead of sweat on his face, Kay expresses his disbelief, unable to comprehend that such a massive place could exist so deep underground. Cyan coolly states they wandered around because of Gale's poor sense of direction, but he immediately retorts, accusing her of being just as lost. The three of them are dwarfed by the sheer scale of the underground ruins. Looking at the silhouettes of the crumbling city, they wonder about the nature of this unexpectedly huge place. Gale grows frustrated, expressing his doubts about finding any traces of an ancient civilization. He questions how they're supposed to find something called the Stella fragment in ruins this massive. He continues his complaint, pointing out that they don't even know what the fragment looks like. Kay, looking dejected, has to agree that searching blindly would take forever. A thought crosses Kay's mind, if only Nero were here. He recalls a memory of his younger self with a small black cat, and another image where the cat appears as a glowing spirit. Suddenly, Kay's eyes widen. He thinks he hears a faint, familiar sound, Q. Startled, Kay looks down to see the very same cat-like creature from his memories, Nero, appearing out of nowhere at his feet and letting out another, Q. Kay is completely shocked and calls out Nero's name, wondering how his companion could possibly be here. Cyan and Gale turn to see what the commotion is about. Cyan's sharp eyes immediately spot the strange creature by Kay's feet. Kay flinches, a wave of panic washing over him as he realizes his secret is out. I'm done for, he thinks. Kay's mind races. He knows that since they've already seen Nero, making excuses is pointless. But then, a new thought emerges, maybe this could actually be a good opportunity. He reasons with himself that once he starts working as a pioneer, he wouldn't be able to hide Nero forever anyway. A plan begins to form in his mind. Peeking out from behind his shoulder, Nero seems to listen in as Kay thinks, if I show them Nero's actually useful. Having made up his mind, Kay calls out to his two companions, teasing them to come over for a minute. With newfound confidence, Kay presents Nero to the others. He declares that he has a way to find the Stella fragment easily. The three stand in the dim light of the lantern as Kay begins to explain his plan involving the mysterious little creature. Gale skeptically repeats Kay's plan. This little creature he's been taking care of is going to lead them to the Stella fragment. Kay confidently confirms, saying he's sure Nero will find it in no time. Gale dismisses the idea as nonsense, arguing that if such a rare creature existed, he would definitely know about it. As they argue, Nero calmly sits nestled against Cyan. Tired of arguing, Kay decides it's faster to just give them a demonstration. He tells Nero it's time to go. Looking at Nero, who is still being held by Cyan, Kay gives him a command, let's show this idiot just how amazing you are. Nero lets out a determined squeak, ready for action. With a powerful leap, Nero springs from Cyan's grasp, launching into the air as if on command. Before their astonished eyes, Nero transforms into a glowing projectile of light and shoots off into the darkness, illuminating the path forward. Gale and Cyan are left speechless, their faces a mask of pure shock at the sight of Nero's transformation. Trusting the strange creature, the three of them follow the brilliant streak of light as Nero guides them through the dark, crumbling ruins. Still in disbelief, Gale mutters to himself, trying to process what he just saw. No way. A creature that follows people and has a special ability. He continues to voice his astonishment, wondering where Kay could have possibly found such a creature that he's never even heard of before. Nero finally comes to a stop, hovering in the air. Kay announces that Nero has found their target, the Stella fragment. Nero lets out a confirmatory Q. Kay gives Nero a determined look and says, I'm counting on you. Nero's eyes narrow with equal resolve. Suddenly, Nero looks up as if sensing something. Its form stretches and it zips forward into the darkness. Kay watches, startled, realizing Nero must have found something. Nero's glowing form darts ahead, leading Kay down a narrow path between dilapidated walls. Kay's eyes follow Nero's path, a bead of sweat forming on his face as he confirms the direction they need to go. Nero leads them to a dark, foreboding passageway. Seeing how deep they've already gone, Kay wonders how much further they have to proceed. Gale smirks, taunting Kay for his hesitation and teasing him to fall back if he's scared. Kay glares back, denying that he's afraid. With his resolve hardened, Kay declares, "Then we're going in." The three of them stand before the pitch-black entrance, with only Nero's small light to guide them. Without warning, a colossal metal foot smashes down right in front of them, shattering the stone floor. Kay's face contorts in shock and terror as he looks up at the immense figure that has just appeared. The entire group is frozen in place, staring at the giant robotic leg that has blocked their path. As Gale readies his weapon, Kay stares in disbelief, admitting that Nero had definitely found something, just not what they expected. A giant, archaic-looking robot looms over them, steam pouring from its exhaust pipes and its single eye glowing menacingly. What is this? They wonder in terror. Kay questions if it's a creature, but its metallic form suggests it's something else entirely. Suddenly, the robot begins to emit a scanning light, analyzing the newcomers before it. The scanner focuses on Cyan, identifying her unique color with the hex code #81CFF4. She looks on, bewildered. Next, the scanner moves to Gale, identifying his color with the hex code #7DA97C. Kay watches the process with dawning horror, realizing the robot is performing a hex code scan to check their colors. Finally, the bright line of the scanner passes over Kay, analyzing his own unique signature. The scan concludes on Kay, and on a dark, static-filled screen, a single identifier appears, number 000000, the hex code for pure black. The robot's glowing optic focuses intently on Kay. Having identified his forbidden color, it delivers a chilling verdict that designates him as a target for extermination, detected the color of the Black Witch. The robot's monotone voice declares Kay a threat and announces its intention to eliminate him. Kay stares back, his expression turning from shock to alarm. Wasting no time, the robot fires a powerful energy blast directly at Kay, who gets thrown back by the force as his companions cry out his name. Kay hits the ground hard, skidding across the floor as he curses the robot under his breath. Infuriated by the unprovoked attack, Kay glares at the machine, sighing, "Are you insane? Attacking out of nowhere." As Cyan and Gale prepare for battle, Kay declares that since the robot decided to attack first, "You'd better be ready to get smashed." With a furious battle cry, Kay charges forward and throws a powerful punch at the robot. Kay lands a direct hit on the robot's arm, but his punch does nothing against the hard metal surface. He looks down at his scraped and bruised fist in frustration, wondering why his opponent is so impossibly tough. The robot remains completely unfazed, its fist still clenched. Kay can only stare and wonder, seriously, what is this thing? Cyan joins the fray, unleashing a powerful slash of blue energy from her sword that strikes the robot's head, yet it has no effect. She and Gale launch a coordinated assault, their respective blue and green color powers slamming into the robot, but the attacks glance off its armor. Cyan looks on in dismay, realizing that even using her color power doesn't seem to leave a single scratch on the mechanical monstrosity. She theorizes that her powers aren't working correctly because their opponent isn't a living creature. Meanwhile, Kay spots a glass-like orb in the center of the robot's chest, containing a sloshing black liquid. He identifies it as a core and potential weak point that he needs to strike fast. The robot easily blocks an attack from Gale while simultaneously deflecting a blow from Cyan. Kay sneaks in and hit a heavy punch on its side, creating a shockwave. His eyes are wide with desperation and strain as he struggles against the robot's immense strength. Barely dodging another attack, Kay grunts in frustration, realizing that his normal attacks are completely useless and wondering what he should do. It dawns on him that he can use the attack that coats his body in black. Instead he decides to coat his fist to save color. With a surge of power, he completes the technique. Done. Kay stands his ground, facing down the giant robot with his newly empowered fist ready to strike. With a determined gaze, he pulls back his arm, ready to unleash the full force of his forbidden power. He thrusts his fist forward, striking the robot's core with a massive, explosive impact. The devastating punch shatters the robot's core, sending its components flying. K stands victorious, his eyes glowing with the dark energy he just unleashed. The robot's severed head lies smoking on the ground, its light flickering out. The battle is over. K lets out a breath of relief, the black energy around his fist dissipating. Cyan and Gale can only stare at the wreckage in stunned silence. Looking at the defeated robot, K comments offhandedly that the thing was more annoying than he had expected. As he surveys the damage, something catches his eye, the robot's core, still intact and glowing amidst the rubble. He picks up the core, noting it looks different from the ones he usually sees. A sly grin spreads across his face as he thinks, Mari will like this if I take it to her. His companions, however, are not pleased. Gale and Cyan immediately confront him, demanding an explanation for the power he just used and questioning why he didn't use it sooner. K looks annoyed at their interrogation. K gives them an explanation. The technique drains so much color that he avoids using it unless absolutely necessary. As he speaks, a low rumbling sound echoes through the chamber. Startled by the noise, the three of them turn their attention toward the large doorway they had stopped at earlier. The stone door, which had been sealed shut, now stands open, revealing a wall of pure, impenetrable blackness. Did that door just open on its own? K wonders. Suddenly, Nero lets out an excited cry and, in its glowing form, zips straight towards and into the mysterious black doorway. He approaches the entrance cautiously, unable to see anything within the darkness. Are you sure it's safe? He asks Nero. His curiosity getting the better of him, he reaches out a hand towards the strange black surface, wondering if it's like the mysterious curtain he's encountered before. The instant his fingers make contact, the black portal erupts with shadowy tendrils, catching the entire group by surprise. They shout in alarm as the shadows wrap around them, pulling them in. Why'd you touch that? Gale yells at K, who can only warn everyone to be careful. Their screams echo as they are helplessly dragged into the pitch-black abyss. Now they're just white silhouettes floating in an endless void. One of them groans in pain, asking what they're supposed to do now. The world has lost its color. In a monochrome reality, the group panics, complaining about the disorienting darkness and the fall. Floating in the abyss, one of them reaches out a colorless hand, asking if everyone is okay, but gets only a confused grunt in response. Suddenly, Gale looks at his own body in horror. What? My color, he stammers, a dreadful realization dawning on him. He clutches his chest, his face a mask of pure terror as he shouts the terrible truth into the void, my color is gone. All three of them are now colorless, powerless in the dark. We open on the Eastern Administration office, which looks just as dreary as it sounds. You just know the coffee here is terrible. And speaking of bad days, inside, someone is having a rough time. The director slams his hand down, screaming about that damn brat. Yikes. Someone's about to get a very strongly worded email. A subordinate reports that, our boy K is out on a mission with Red. And apparently, Red's official message to the director was, stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. The office drama is spicy today. The director, predictably, does not take this well. He's absolutely livid, ranting that Red, hero or not, has finally gone too far. Buddy, I don't think Red cares. He flashes back to a creature that appeared in the city, an incident they tried to sweep under the rug. But now the council's in an uproar, screaming that the black tide is starting again. It's always something, isn't it? The director continues his meltdown, wondering what he's supposed to tell them. But as he's spiraling, a cup of tea gracefully enters the scene. The timing? Perfect. And holding the cup is a woman with a smirk that could cut glass. She casually observes, someone's in a bad mood again today, director. This is the energy of someone who runs the show. Meet Camellia, captain of the Dawn Pioneer Corps. She tells the director to relax or he'll end up in the hospital again. The sheer, unbothered confidence we have no choice but to stan. She explains that Red being with K is the best safety device they've got. Why? Because if you're gonna take a high-risk person on a mission, you might as well aim for a high reward. She's a gambling woman, I like it. Sipping her tea, Camellia drops some wisdom. What they need right now isn't fear or doubt, it's trust. She says this while looking like she trusts absolutely no one. A queen. The director is not vibing. He acknowledges that Red's presence helps, but he's still stressed. So stressed, in fact, that he dumps an ungodly amount of sugar cubes into his cup, muttering about how he doesn't get Red's taste. Sir, that's not tea anymore, that's a cry for help. He goes on a history yap. Black symbolizes death and fear, thanks to the first black tide caused by the witch, which nearly wiped out humanity and created the Black Land. You know, standard fantasy world problems. The tide is coming again. The city has fought it off before, but the next threat is just a matter of time. The reason they're so desperate to explore and reclaim land is simply to survive. Deep. Camellia's not impressed by the history lesson. She winks, pointing out that with strange phenomena on the rise and someone with black on the scene, they need all the firepower they can get. She's connecting the dots. She tells the director to convince the council to use every asset available, even if that asset is black. The director looks like he's about to have an aneurysm, complaining that it's easier said than done. Poor guy. The camera pans down to a photo on his desk, a photo of K. The dialogue says the entire city might end up revolving around this one kid. No pressure or anything. And just like that, we cut to black. 3 figures stand in the void. A voice cries out, "What happened here? We've left the boring office politics and jumped straight into the weird stuff." It's K and his teammates, Lumiel and Green. And Cyan is having a breakdown, pointing at K and screaming that all his color is gone. "So why do you still have yours?" he demands. Awkward. K, ever the smartass, just ponders to himself. How should I know? Maybe because we're both black? He's got jokes even in the literal void. A true protagonist. Meanwhile, his 2 companions are not doing so hot. They're drained of all their strength, buckling under the pressure of this colorless dimension. K, on the other hand? Totally fine. Main character privileges are insane. Cyan and Green are really going through it, clutching their heads as a weird sensation washes over them. You know things are bad when the anime characters start getting migraines. The sensation gets stronger, it feels like they can see something. A light begins to shine from one of their chests. Oh good, creepy body lights. Never a good sign. Then, all around them, strange, whispering symbols begin to materialize out of the darkness. The trio looks up, completely surrounded. The creepy factor just went up to 11. Gale, bless his heart, immediately starts freaking out. What the? Who's there? Show yourself. Bro, be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. But while Gale is losing his mind, K is locked in. He recognizes these whispers, or at least, something eerily similar. He mutters, "No. It's similar, but something's off," trying to place that unsettling feeling just before it's too late. And as if on cue, K's spidey sense starts tingling. He gets that classic "something bad is about to happen" feeling, right as a creepy, long-haired shadow figure materializes behind his team. Gale, of course, freaks out. A sea creature, he stammers. Yes, Gale. Keep up. The faceless, silent, shadowy ghost lady is, in fact, a creature. And as they're all frozen in shock, the creature slowly points a finger. And that finger lands right on K's chest. It's the classic "AT phone home" moment, except, you know, terrifying. The moment it touches him, K's mind completely shatters. His eyes go wide with pure, unadulterated horror. He's hit with a flood of nightmarish visions. A swirling vortex of color and darkness, pulling cities apart at the seams. It's a full-on psychedelic nightmare. He sees demonic creatures silhouetted against a blood-red sky, a giant shadowy figure looming over a ruined cityscape. And then, an army of monsters, bowing before a black sun, an eclipse of pure despair. This is some serious, high-level trauma he's downloading right now. Kei sees himself as a silhouette, staring up at a ghostly blue figure on a throne. He has no idea what's happening. Is this a memory, or reality, he wonders. Either way, dude, you need therapy. His eyes are dark, empty voids as the ultimate existential question hits him: who am I? The mother of all amnesia tropes, right here. And a voice, accompanied by a glitchy, colorful image of a smiling person, answers him. Kei. That's your name. Well, that solves that mystery. It's a lore dump and a naming ceremony, all in one. The voice gives him his first quest: go find your own light and color. And then, as the voice fades, Kei's silhouette is consumed by darkness, and he snaps back to the present with a furious scream. Kei stumbles back into reality, clutching his head. NGH. What the hell are these creepy scenes? Damn it. Buddy, I think that was your origin story. But as he processes the horror show he just witnessed, one image sticks out. He realizes that the smiling, colorful person who named him, looked exactly like Lumiel. And that revelation hits him hard. While Kei is having his existential crisis, Lumiel is having a rage crisis, screaming for the bastards to bring it. My guy is ready to fight the very concept of darkness itself. This place is really getting to them. While Lumiel is trying to punch ghosts, Cyan is curled up in a ball, having a total breakdown, apologizing over and over. It's a bad trip all around. Kei looks at his two companions, one spiraling into rage and the other into despair, and states the obvious: these two are really not okay. He knows they need to get out, and fast. And then, a beacon of hope. A little Q echoes in the darkness as a familiar, glowing, cat-like comet zips into frame. The ultimate deus ex machina has arrived. It's Nero. Kei is overjoyed, realizing his little companion is perfectly fine in this dimension-sucking void. Kei asks what's up, and Nero does a little wiggle, multiplying into several cute ghost cats before pointing a phantom paw. He's trying to tell him something. It's like Lassie, but for interdimensional voids. Kei gets the message immediately. Nero has found a path. Got it, so I just follow the path you took, right? Let's check it out. Finally, a plan that doesn't involve screaming at the darkness. But first, he's got to deal with his rampaging teammates. A brilliant flash of light erupts from Nero. Is this his power? It seems to envelop his friends, stopping them in their tracks. And it actually works. As the black energy recedes from their minds, Kei gives himself a mental pat on the back. Oh. Nice, nice, looks like it's working. Step 1, stop your friends from going insane. Check. With his teammates hitting the snooze button, Kei gives them a quick order: you two stay put here. I'll go ahead and check things out first. He turns toward the path Nero opened. So Kei follows the light path left by Nero, wandering alone through the endless black. He complains that it feels like he's been walking forever. Yeah, that tends to happen in infinite voids. The creepy whispers start up again: no color can ever stain you. And Kei is officially over it. Ugh. I'm so sick of hearing these cryptic lines on repeat, he groans. Same, Kei. Same. But then, up ahead, a light. A single, shining star in the oppressive darkness. Kei stops, stunned. Huh. That's all the motivation he needs. He breaks into a full sprint, kicking up dust that doesn't even exist. There's something over there. No way. And there it is. Resting on a stone altar, glowing like a holy relic in a forgotten temple, he's finally found it. The goal of their entire mission. The Stella fragment. It looks like a giant, glowing, plus sign. Huh. I expected something a little more dramatic. Kay observes that while this is definitely it, the glow and shape are different from what he's seen before. He correctly guesses that maybe each fragment has its own unique form. Look at our boy, using his brain. Anyway, I should grab it and get out of here. Priorities, people. He climbs up the altar, ready to bag the prize. He really does not want to stay in this creepy place any longer. As he reaches out his hand, the fragment begins to pulse with a beautiful rainbow light. It's kinda pretty for a dimension-ending artifact. The second his fingers get close, his absorption ability activates on its own. A storm of color erupts from the fragment and surges directly into Kay, who looks completely shocked. He panics, wondering why his power went off. He tries to reassure himself that it was just for an instant, as the fragment itself seems to absorb all the colors of the rainbow, swirling into a chaotic marble of power. Suddenly, Kay looks up, startled. The oppressive darkness above him is shattering, breaking apart like glass. And just like that, it's over. He's standing in the ruins again, holding the now contained fragment. In the distance, he can see cyan and green. The black space is gone. He casually walks over to his shell-shocked teammates. "Hey, you guys feeling any better?" Green asks him how he was completely fine in the darkness. Kay's response? A deadpan, "No idea." Legend. Changing the subject like a pro, Kay holds up the prize. More importantly, look at this. We found it. It's the Stella fragment. All that trauma, and he still remembers the mission objective. Green is shocked at how tiny it is, while Cyan marvels at all the colors swirling inside. Even Nero floats over to take a look. It's a sweet team moment, that's about to be ruined. Green asks the important question, is Kay's body really not affected by absorbing that thing? Kay confirms he feels fine, but Nero stares at the fragment with a little too much interest. And then, in super slow motion, Nero's mouth opens wide. Oh no. Oh no. Chomp. The cute ghost cat, the savior of the mission, the adorable companion, just ate the priceless legendary artifact, leaving Kay holding an empty, fading glow. And everyone loses their minds. All three of them scream in perfect, synchronized disbelief. Nero. I told you, that's not food. But when has a cat ever listened to reason? Kay and his buddy Greenhair are in full-blown panic mode. Greenhair lunges for Nero, trying to pry the little gremlin's mouth open, while Kay has a classic "my life is over" face. The whole dungeon starts cracking apart. After all the hell they went through to get here, it's all coming down because a cat got the munchies. You can't make this stuff up. Yep, full-scale collapse. As rocks rain down, our heroes collectively decide on the single best strategy in any RPG. Run for your lives. The trio makes a mad dash for the exit, which is conveniently glowing like the entrance to heaven. Or, you know, just outside. Either way, get to the choppa. Meanwhile, in a completely different part of the forest, another squad is investigating the corpse of a giant monster. You know, just a regular Tuesday for a colorist. One of the members lets out a sigh of relief. Phew, damn it. Which roughly translates to, I am so glad I am not the one who had to fight that ugly son of a gun. A new character, a fiery orange-haired woman named Camellia, is on the scene. She was expecting a high-risk entity, but from her expression, it looks like she's dealt with worse. Or, maybe she's just unimpressed. But then, she spots something. Her eyes narrow. She knows these marks. Ugh, she mutters, could it be him? Oh yeah. That battle-crazed lunatic has shown up again. You know it's bad when they get a cool title like that. And there he is. Standing in the rubble like he owns the place. The humanoid creature, the sword demon. Apparently, this guy is way more than just a random boss. He's the Black Hand of the Witch. So we've officially gone from a dungeon crawl to a main story quest. A close-up on our new villain reveals a seriously intimidating mask. The off-screen narration complains that this guy is not only a menace but also cunning. He just shows up and starts throwing hands. A real pain in the ass. And Camellia, being the only one here with a functioning brain, makes a command decision. The investigation ends here. Everyone, prepare to withdraw. Of course, the trainees are confused. But sir, we're almost at the destination. Camellia isn't having any of it. They've hit their minimum objectives, and she's not about to risk her entire team to fight a named character. That's just smart leadership. She stares them down, making her point crystal clear. The whole goal of this little field trip was just to get the trainees acclimated to the Dark Lands. Well, congratulations, you're acclimated. Now get out. And right on cue, a massive explosion erupts in the distance. Camellia and Jiam whip around, because of course the day isn't over yet. As they look closer at the pillar of fire, there's a moment of dawning horror. That red color. Is that team leader red? The pieces click into place for Camellia. If the old man, team leader red, is personally fighting, then that means he's taking on the sword demon himself. Cut to the action. A spectacular clash of black and white energy confirms it. This isn't just a scuffle, it's a full-blown boss battle. Someone screams, "Dodge," as a massive attack slams into the earth, sending a shockwave through the ground and reminding all the NPCs to stay out of the splash zone. Team leader Orange brings her hammer down with the force of a collapsing star. The impact is a beautiful, screen-filling explosion of light and energy. Someone is having a very bad day, and it ain't her. With the big guns now on the field, Camellia takes charge, hefting her own comically large weapon. Everyone, return to the outpost, she orders. Translation, the adults are talking. Go to your rooms. While Jiam declares he's going to back up team leader Red, one of the other trainees steps up to lead the retreat. Yes, ma'am. I'll take the lead from here. It's nice to see competence in the lower ranks for a change. From a safe distance, the trainees watch as Camellia blasts off to go help Red. The ground itself shatters from the sheer force of the battle. Red, demonic energy pulses from the earth as the entire area becomes a crater. This isn't just a fight, it's a world-breaking event, and it's far from over. Red clashes with the sword demon, his blade glowing with intense energy. This is a whole new flavor of badass. The sword demon doesn't even flinch, his creepy half-mask staring straight ahead as he prepares a counterattack. He unleashes a flurry of dark energy strikes, a whirlwind of pure malice trying to overwhelm our red-haired hero. And one of the strikes lands. A brutal, cross-shaped slash of dark energy hits the swordsman dead in the chest. But he's not down. He powers through the hit, his own red energy flaring as he dodges a follow-up spear thrown by the sword demon. This guy can take a punch. The two face off, a classic anime showdown. The sword demon's form is monstrous, more beast than man, while our hero stands his ground. A close-up on the swordsman shows a look of pure shock. He managed to block the attack, but you can tell from his face that it was way stronger than he expected. But before the sword demon can press his advantage, he's engulfed in a massive pillar of fire. Looks like he forgot about the other player on the field. The demon is sent flying, propelled by the sheer force of Camellia's explosive attack. That's what you get for ignoring the lady with the giant hammer. And here she comes. Camellia, glowing with furious orange energy, appears in the sky above the sword demon, hammer raised high. She is not happy. She screams down from above, "Let's see you try to dodge this." This is the anime equivalent of a tactical nuke. Kaboom! The hammer connects, and the ground itself shatters, creating a massive crater. You can practically feel the screen shake. But, as the dust settles, a figure emerges from the hole. The sword demon is still standing. So, that's not good. And just then, a new voice cuts through the tension. "You're late." A smirking, long-haired man in red casually strolls onto the battlefield. His name is Red, and his timing is impeccable. Camellia is in no mood for his games. As Red playfully claims he almost died back there, she tells him to cut the nonsense. The tension between these two is thicker than the smoke. Looking at the still-standing sword demon in the distance, Camellia admits, "I landed a solid hit, but I guess that wasn't enough." Understatement of the year, lady. Red, ever the cocky bastard, just smirks. "It's fine. If we use your color, dealing with that pest will be a breeze." Camelia's response is a classic, "Just don't think about slacking off." I love these two. Now standing side by side, Camellia elaborates. "It's a good thing I got here before the real fighting started, because neither I nor any other colorist wants to see you fight for real." Camellia, ignoring Red's ominous comment, readies her stance. "It's time to go to work. Let's break another one of the witch's black hands." The sword demon just stares back, silent. That's it. Just pure, unadulterated menace. The ellipses in the speech bubble are doing some heavy lifting here. Heave-ho. After a desperate scramble up a cliff face, a dirt-covered hand finally reaches the top of the ledge. They're almost out of the frying pan. Kay, green hair, and blue hair pull themselves over the edge, completely spent. "Huh, we're finally out," Kay pants, relieved for a split second. "First time I've ever been happy to see the dark lands, but as they say, out of the frying pan, and into the fire." Kay is mid-sentence, talking about how he never wants to go back into that dark place again, when he looks up and freezes. That look on his face says it all. He just realized he escaped one nightmare only to stumble into a much, much worse one. And there it is. The sword demon, who was busy fighting two of the strongest people we've seen, has completely turned his attention. He's looking right past them, right at Kay's group. This is the anime equivalent of the final boss suddenly noticing the level 1 players who just wandered into his arena. Red and Camellia are instantly furious. Damn it. Why now of all times? You can feel their frustration. They had this contained, and now 3 little distractions have just become the main event. Red screams at them, "Get away." He knows exactly how dangerous this is. But it's too late for warnings. And just like that, he's gone. The sword demon completely ignores the 2 powerhouses and blitzes across the battlefield, making a beeline straight for Kay's terrified party. He appears before them in an instant. Green hair and blue hair, to their credit, immediately draw their weapons and try to put up a fight. It's brave. It's noble. It's incredibly stupid. The sword demon effortlessly swats their attacks aside, his sheer power shattering the ground around them. They never stood a chance. We get a close-up on their faces, filled with pure, unadulterated terror. This is the moment they realize they are completely, hopelessly outclassed. Green hair screams in disbelief. "My specially crafted dropper broke in one hit?" He then has the most relatable reaction in manhwa history, I'm going to die. But just as the final blow is about to land, Kay does the only thing a protagonist can do. He shoves his friends out of the way and takes the full force of the attack himself, cutting off his hand in the process. Kay's teeth grit in agony. He knew this was going to hurt, but he did it anyway. That's our goat right there. The sword demon's attack leaves Kay defeated. As his body goes limp, his teammates can only scream his name in horror. Before Green and Cyan get time to process the demon attacks, he slugs Green in the stomach and grabs Cyan by the throat. The sword demon now has blue hair in a chokehold, his blade pointed at her throat, while green hair lies defeated on the ground. The situation has gone from bad to a complete catastrophe. He glares back at Red and Camellia, and gives them an order: make way. Do not follow. He's using the kids as human shields to make his escape. But he's not just leaving. He asks the million-dollar question. And the key? Where is it? Hand it over. What key? As Red watches with pure fury in his eyes, the sword demon clarifies his terms. If you don't listen, I kill. He's giving Red an ultimatum, with Bluehair's life on the line. Kay is down for the count, lying in a pool of his own black blood. Even Nero, the chaos-causing cat, looks concerned. This is bad. Really, really bad. A rage-filled panel of pure red and black shows Red's face, his eyes glowing. This bastard. He is absolutely livid. But wait, what's this? A close-up on Kay's hand. It's twitching. He's not out of the fight just yet. The sword demon gets impatient, his blade still at Bluehair's throat. Decide. Quickly. The pressure is on. Red and Camellia can only watch, seething with impotent rage. You damn bastard. They're completely stuck, unable to act without sacrificing the hostages. The sword demon has total control, the heroes are helpless, and the hostage is secured. It's checkmate. But then, a sudden, chilling pressure fills the air. It's not coming from Red or Camellia. And what he sees drains all the confidence from his face. That look, that's not just shock. It's the dawning, horrific realization that he didn't just poke some random kid. He poked something ancient, something dark, and he just woke it up. And there it is. The payoff. Kay slowly rises to his feet, not as himself, but as a vessel. A vortex of pure shadow swirls around him, and a second, even more terrifying silhouette manifests at his back, a silent, dark entity born from his despair. And as our boy looks into the abyss of his own power. So the big bad sword demon had just knocked our boy Kay into next week. But, something's not right. The sword demon, a creature literally called a demon, looks confused. He's thinking, how did he stand up again? Oh. And not only is he standing, but there's this ominous shadow looming where Kay used to be. The sword demon's train of thought is getting real concerned, real fast. First, how, and now. Why? Why is this human kid just refusing to die? Because, plot twist, he's not just a human anymore. The sword demon is having a full-blown existential crisis. He's looking at this swirling mass of pure, forbidden energy and wondering if a human can even possess black. Spoilers, this one can. Kay, or whatever is left of him in that shadowy form, reaches out. This isn't a friendly handshake. This is the kind of gesture that says, your free trial of living has expired. And boom goes the dynamite. The sword demon, who was just acting all high and mighty, gets sucked in by the vortex. Turns out, black hits a little different. And it's not just the villain who's shocked. Meet the Camellia and her red-headed companion. Their faces pretty much say it all, what the hell is happening? But before he can even recover, Kay is on him. He has him by the throat. The tables have turned so hard they've been smashed into firewood. The hunter has officially become the hunted. Seeing the absolute chaos unfolding, the red-haired guy starts yelling for everyone to pull back. It's the classic, let the main character handle his unholy power-up strategy. A wise choice. He's not just scared for the team, he's scared for Kay. He's wondering if Kay has been encroached by the black. In other words, did our boy just trade his soul for a power-up? Maybe. The fear gets worse. He wonders if Kay has turned into one of the Black Hand bastards, the very monsters they're supposed to be fighting. Oh, the irony. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to become the edgy, overpowered protagonist. From the sword demon's perspective, this is a nightmare. He can feel Kay's power not just hurting him, but stealing his very existence. This isn't a fight for survival anymore, it's a fight for reality itself. And then, a moment of horrifying realization for the demon. As he looks into Kay's single glowing eye, he thinks. This is, just like hers. The plot thickens, and it is thick indeed. As if on cue, the black energy around Kay morphs into dozens of gnashing, razor-toothed mouths. Because when you're going for a terrifying aesthetic, you can't go wrong with eldritch horror beyond mortal comprehension. The sword demon takes his sword and slashes away at the mouths. Finally, the villain's bravado cracks. He looks at this thing that used to be K and realizes, I can't take him like this. Yeah, no kidding, dude. That ship has sailed. But he's not giving up just yet. He has a plan. A new strategy. With a burst of speed, he goes on the offensive, thinking, first, the limbs. It's a solid plan, you gotta give him that. And it fails. Immediately. His blade is stopped dead in its tracks, and all he can muster is a shocked, what? So much for that solid plan. We see K's shadowy hand has casually caught the weapon. No effort, no struggle. Just a calm, terrifying display of absolute dominance. This is getting embarrassing for the sword demon. The demon then notices the mouths reformed below his feet. He jumps away in the nick of time, narrowly avoiding his demise. As he's still on the back foot from K's assault, something screams, stop looking away. Orange comes in with a devastating blow with her hammer. Her attack lands dead center. It's a solid hit, and for a moment, it looks like it might actually do some serious damage. You can't say she doesn't pack a punch. But as she powers up, even she realizes this guy is on another level. Her attack was dangerous. The sword demon, meanwhile, has a revelation. He's not trying to win anymore. He thinks, I'll retreat, since I found the key. He's got the intel, and now it's time to bail. And just like that, he's off. The big, scary monster turns tail and runs, leaving the orange-haired colorist alone on her perch. The objective has changed from, kill everyone to, get the hell out of Dodge. And she is absolutely livid. She starts screaming after him, calling him out for being a coward. You were rampaging just a second ago. Are you running away now that you're losing? Yes. Yes, he is. That's how villains stay employed. But hold on, the man, the myth, the legend with the glorious red hair, Team Leader Red is on the chase. He ignites his sword and points out that they have to stop the sword demon before he escapes into the depths, a place that's apparently very, very bad. Red gets right in his face. Hey! Where do you think you're going? It's the ultimate I'm not done with you yet power move. The air gets heavy, and you just know things are about to get serious. Red grips his glowing blade, the energy building to a fever pitch. He's not just swinging his sword, he's unleashing his ultimate technique, a little something called chroma. Annihilation. And he unleashes a tidal wave of pure red energy that completely slices through the sword demon's arm. It's less of an attack and more of a deleting you from existence button. The sword demon is hit hard, his arm burning with crimson fire. He clutches the wound, recognizing the power instantly. This isn't just any old attack, this is chroma. And it feels different. He looks down at his wound, and the true horror sets in. His body, which normally heals from anything, is failing him. The red energy is burning away at his very being, and he realizes with utter terror, he can't regenerate. Red, ever the charming host, gives him a smirk. Let's fight properly now, shall we? He's enjoying this way too much. With a glare that could curdle milk, Red promises to send him off just like his dead homies. This guy isn't just a team leader, he's a veteran, and he's got a long history of putting down monsters like this. Red follows up with a furious barrage of attacks, pushing the now vulnerable sword demon back. The beatdown is swift and merciless. There's no escape now. Trapped and dying, the sword demon gives his classic villain parting speech. Next time, it won't end like this. The key will definitely be mine. Sure, buddy. We'll see you next season. And with his final vow of revenge, he dissolves into a pile of black sludge and melts into the ground. A dramatic exit, you have to give him that. 10 out of 10 for style. The orange-haired colorist, still running on pure adrenaline, wants to give chase. But Red stops her, warning that it's too dangerous to go any deeper into enemy territory. She throws a fit, completely frustrated that they lost him again. But Red calmly explains that they weren't prepared to enter the depths. It's the classic, we can't go there, it's a higher-level zone anime trope. Red looks on with a grim expression. Even with all their power, there are lines they can't cross. This is their limit, and he knows pushing it would be suicide. They stand before the gaping maw of the depths, the enemy's stronghold. Red laments that the dark lands themselves act as a shield for these creatures. It's the ultimate home field advantage. The team regroups. The blue-haired member apologizes for being a burden, but Red, ever the good leader, reassures her that he's just glad everyone is safe. It's a small, quiet moment after the storm of battle. But the crisis isn't over. Their attention turns to the lone figure of Kay, standing silently in the distance. The fight with the demon might be done, but now they have a new problem. What should we do with him? They stare at his dark silhouette, wondering if he's even conscious anymore. The hero of the hour has become an ominous, unknown quantity. Is he friend, or foe, or something else entirely? Red, the strongest among them, is completely floored. He knew Kay's power was dangerous, but he never imagined it was on this scale. The kid didn't just win, he rewrote the rules of the game. And then, the truly terrifying question dawns on him. Is he, absorbing the dark lands themselves? As he watches, dark energy from the very ground itself seems to be flowing into Kay. Our hero isn't just wielding darkness, he's becoming it. And just as suddenly as it began, the darkness subsides. The monstrous shadow recedes, and standing in its place is, just Kay. Back in his normal, colorless form. The team is justifiably confused. Did he regain consciousness? Red and the orange-haired colorist are completely dumbfounded. The sheer power they just witnessed simply does not match the unassuming kid standing before them. The math ain't mateing. The whiplash is intense. One moment, he's a god of destruction, the next, he's just, a colorless. The weakest of the weak? Kay stumbles, the massive power-up having clearly taken its toll. And then, after all that sound and fury, he just collapses. Faceplants right onto the dusty ground. The rest of the team is left standing there in absolute, bewildered silence. The orange-haired colorist finally voices the question that's on everyone's mind, looking down at the unconscious kid. Mister, what on earth is this guy? That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. Meanwhile, in the dark and spooky depths, the sword demon is having a very, very bad day. He's alone, he's defeated, and he's seriously wounded. That special, chroma, energy from Red's attack is still sizzling in his wounds, preventing him from regenerating. It's like a magical poison that just won't quit. He lets out a grunt of pure agony. He manages to get to his feet, and finally is able to regenerate his arm. But his quiet moment of self-pity is interrupted by a new, taunting voice. Ahaha. What the heck, look at you. Did you get beaten up somewhere? Oh no. It's the annoying coworker. The voice continues to mock him, dripping with sarcasm. Should I say it's just like you to go poking around everywhere? The sword demon is visibly unamused. And we finally see the source of the voice. With a sinister grin and glowing green eyes, a new antagonist makes her entrance, flanked by what looks like a twin sister. The sword demon growls her name. Viper. Viper and her entourage of creepy twins surround him, practically buzzing with amusement. She gets right in his face. There's no way a guy like you got beaten up by some scrub, so who did you fight? Ha. Ha. She leans in, a smug on her lips. But then her eyes drift down, and she notices the traces of red energy still sizzling on the ground. Her playful demeanor shifts, she's found a clue. Her mind works fast. Scorching heat, a pure, unmixed red. Her eyes widen as she puts it together. You fought Red, didn't you? She actually sounds impressed. You actually survived a beating from that monster? Viper lets out a cackle, finding his struggle hilarious. The sword demon, having reached his absolute limit for the day, just tells her to shut up and get lost. He is so done. But Viper is on a roll. She muses that Red is annoyingly strong for a human, but then she drops a bit of intel: he's the type to burn his own life force to fight, so he'll probably self-destruct eventually. Every power has its price. She then pivots, her tone suddenly serious. Why aren't you answering my question? You noticed it too, right? She leans in, her voice low and conspiratorial. That the Black Witch's curtain has opened. Viper huffs, annoyed at his silence. But the sword demon is lost in thought. He knows what she's talking about, but he also knows something she doesn't. He thinks there's no benefit in telling others the identity of the key. A dark resolve hardens his expression. He's not sharing this information with anyone. This discovery is his and his alone. I will definitely take it for myself. But he has the worst poker face ever. Viper and her clone immediately call him out, mocking him for being so obvious. If you make it that obvious you're hiding something, you're just advertising that there's something. What a total moron. Viper isn't even mad, she's amused. But hey, it's fine, she says with a shark-like grin. We were going to figure it all out ourselves anyway. The villainous rivalry is in full swing. She's already putting together a new plan. His reaction tells her that whatever happened is related to the colorists. So, if they just keep sending monsters their way, a clue about this key is bound to pop up. And as she lays out her manipulative scheme, we see a glimpse of the horrifying, massive creature she plans to use as bait. With a chilling smile, she says, "Then shall we prepare to make some waves?"